Hello, hello. Good morning. As Cristiano likes to say, good morning, Metaverse. Good morning, everybody. Hi, this is Chris with StreamCatcher Society. It's lovely to see you on this Tuesday morning at 11 a.m. And we are here to talk all kinds of things. Right now, I've got something on my screen that I shouldn't have. So I'll put that up there. There we go. Okay. So we are talking today about where we are and what the crypto market is, what Web3 is, what decentralized means. And in order to do that properly, I think that we should probably go into a little bit of history on where I come from and why I have a right to say the things I'm probably about to say and shoot my mouth off. So we've got that screen again, darn it. Okay, let me do this real quick. Okay, there we go. We're back with this Loop app, and I definitely want to get some more things up on the screen. We're going to do some screensavers while I'm speaking with Stable Diffusion and all the renderings I've been doing and that kind of thing. But for the moment, we'll just have some nice eye candy in the background. And we also have, thank goodness, my switcher. Yay, I got it all working. When you have 3 million buttons and you forget about the 2 that are really important to hit for super source, that's what happens. So we're going to get into it a little bit today and talk about where we are in the world of crypto and NFTs and all that. And yes, we have definitely hit what they call a bear market. And a bear market is a bad place to be, right? Bull markets are good, bear markets are bad. Everybody knows this if they deal with the stock market at all. So what are we dealing with here? Well, a lot of what we're dealing with is the JPEG stock market. So when they say NFTs down by 95%, which is one of the big things that has been going around in the spaces and on Twitter and everything, crypto's down and NFTs are down by 95%. Well, yeah, because a lot of the market in the bull for the time period that it was in the JPEG stock market. So a lot of people saw the opportunity with cryptocurrencies and the way people were throwing money around and everything to basically create their own Shark Tank with no guest screener. So you can come up and say, I have an idea, or I want to build a community, and here's 10,000 PFPs that we generated, and look how cool we are. And everybody jumps on board because they want to make money. And that's it. And they're looking at it like a pump and dump. And all these rugs and all the other things that people are going through in the NFT community are simply because of people who took advantage of a situation, a place in time, the opportunities that crypto presented, and the greed that people had to get theirs before somebody else, before they got taken themselves. So one of the things about these pump and dumps that I can't stand is that you've got people out there who are just truly solely going for nothing but, I'm going to get mine, I'm going to get my bag before you get yours, because that way you're going to be left holding the bag, not the good one. So that's not a place I've ever enjoyed playing in. I'd never liked the stock market. I don't like the idea of having a company that's worth something, but then you take people and trade based on futures and options and puts and all these things. So we're heavily invested in AMC. So shout out to AMC movie theaters. Yes, we love them. And we think that the shorts that Citadel has pulled and all the other hedge funds are going to come back and bite them in the ass, and I hope it does. So anyway, back to the crypto space. in all of this, we have great things, right? So it's not all bad. And is it 95% down? Well, I mean, we have bought artwork for our business, and I've bought some art to support some people and do some things. And I don't think I would have ever bought that art before if there was not some kind of digital provenance to it. So the NFT being the digital provenance, you have a hash that's recorded on the blockchain that's timestamped, that refers to an image or a video or a piece of music or whatever it might be, digital content that you now own and that you have a receipt of. That's what NFTs are. They're glorified receipts. Now what they can do is far more powerful than that, but what they are is proof of ownership. They are a receipt. So with the JPEG stock market and with all the other things going on, and the people that are into this solely for the trading, you're going to have tons of speculators and people come in who are trying to rip people off and rug pulls and that kind of thing. And then you have on the other side the people that are building. Excuse me. So yeah, people who are building, they're actually building businesses. They're building communities, for lack of a better term. I mean, I always say in Twitter Spaces, what is a community? We went to the dictionary definition of community, and let's do it again just for giggles here. Let's go to dictionary.com. That word is thrown, just like all the words, it seems, in this space, in the new Web3 space, are thrown around very loosely, and the definitions don't seem to mean much anymore. So let's get back to some real definitions. Community is a social group of any size whose members reside in a specific locality, share government, and often have a common cultural and historical heritage. A locality inhabited by such a group, a social, religious, occupational, or other group sharing common characteristics or interests and perceived or perceiving itself as distinct in some respect from the larger society within which it exists. A group of associated nations sharing common interests or a common heritage. So, people getting together for a reason, to build something, to do something, to be a part of something bigger than themselves. So all of those definitions of community, I don't think a Discord server necessarily counts. I think especially in the web, one of the things that we're going to be talking about in great detail is moving forward is the fact that when you want to compete with big businesses and you're a small business, the choices that you make in your software as a service, I mean, Salesforce is a huge one that you hear all the time. And when you get to a certain scale, you may want to look at it. But again, all these SaaS services, all these things that are death by a thousand cuts, that by the time you get to the end of the road, you're paying 35% in fees and server hosting and all the different things, whatever it is. So, no matter what, you wind up paying. That's one thing as an artist, a lot of artists don't understand, or they're starting to learn, is that if you don't have a gallerist, you become the gallerist. So you have to do your promotion, you have to do your social, you have to spend money where it might be appropriate if that's the case for you, or you have to just, get out there and slog and promote, and where you promote and who you promote to and the kind of people that you're trying to get as your patrons for your art or whatever it is. Those are very important things that you have to deal with. Building a community may not be for you, but people out there are doing their art. They're trying to sell it, which is great because this is definitely going to revive art in a way with NFTs and with ownership. I think that is going to be good. But people are out there selling NFTs. They're out there building communities. And a lot of that isn't going noticed because, to be perfectly frank, and nobody's making any money on it right now. And in a bear market, they say in a bear market, people build. Well, yeah, that's because that's all they can do. They're not raking in the profits or going on their, nice little yacht for a vacation because it's a bear market. So when you have all of these factors come into play, the bear market, the JPEG stock market, the idea that, people are trading back and forth and I'm going to get mine before I get rugged and leave you holding the bag. All of those factors, when you look at it in macro, as most, journalists today would, yeah, you're going to get you're going to get people saying things like, oh, the NFT market's down by 98%. And I say good, honestly, in this regard, good for them. That means that a lot of the garbage is clearing out. One thing I've always said in spaces and when people have talked to me about this is that I really believe that this is a blip in time. When you look at the entire PFPs, what are PFPs, right? They're little badges you put in your Twitter space or your Instagram or whatever. When we move to the metaverse, there'll be, you are your PFP. So, these kinds of things, they're going to transition anyway graphically, and the PFPs will become animated, and then there'll be an avatar, that, or something, maybe a badge you can put on your, metaverse clothing, whatever it might be, things will change. And the speculation and all the things in crypto, again, are causing a big problem in the NFT space as well, because you've got the ability to move millions and millions of dollars around in a matter of seconds. So there's a lot of people that pump a lot of money in, they let it go up a little bit, they take a big chunk out, they get their gains, and all the little guys are left sitting there watching the Coinbase thing go, Ethereum's up 5%, it's down 5%. So all those factors come into play with making a bear market what it is. Let's go ahead and just take a look at some news and see what we can find out there. So crypto news. Let's go ahead and switch over here. Okay, so crypto Twitter reacts to chaotic Aptos launch. Aptos, I've heard of Aptos, but I don't know anything about them. So crypto Twitter reacts to chaotic Aptos launch, APT token distribution. So, oh, what happened there? It's not what I wanted. Thank you. Okay. Yes, I don't want your ad. Okay, so before its launch yesterday, newcomer blockchain Aptos was touted as the safest, most scalable layer 1 blockchain. Many saw it as a potential Solana killer. Okay, Monday's most heedless investors turn even the most heedless investors off. Heedless? Oh, like I heed nothing? That's a weird word to use. Prior to launch, the tokenomics behind the blockchain's native Aptos token were essentially non-existent to the public. Tokenomics refers to how a crypto token will function within a given blockchain, how many tokens will be created over time, and how the tokens will be distributed. Yeah, a bunch of nerds going, hey, we can do money better. This morning, Aptos attempted to address people's concerns by publishing a breakdown of how its APT token would operate. Okay. So crypto, I love it. We're crypto Twitter people. Crypto Twitter remains largely unconvinced by the hefty token allocation given to developers. Oh, yeah, 49%. Wow. Okay. Andreessen Horowitz. There you go, Mark Andreessen. Netscape. Which led a $200 million round at FTX Ventures. Okay. Yeah, I mean, again, crypto, there's so much out there about what crypto is, and we can go way deep down that rabbit hole from, Satoshi Nakamoto. Is it Nakamoto? Satoshi, the founder of Bitcoin, supposedly, and Ethereum and all those other things. But just to, put the dot on the sentence, all of these cryptocurrencies are here, most of them anyway, because fiats are failing us. Fiats have failed us for a long time. They're money printing machines, and when people see their wealth being stolen from them, they decide that they want to do something else with their wealth, which in this case includes creating cryptocurrencies, creating their own money, and saying we can do money better. And you know what? Hell, maybe they can. That's not the point. The point is that because the economy acts and reacts all the way down from gold and silver, precious metals, actual resources, to fiat currencies and the stock market and ETFs, and the way that everything is money magicked together, cryptos are relying on that. And so they're going to swing with those things as well. And we are in a bad economy. We are in, I hope not, but I hope we're not going into a depression, but it's possible. this is a good news show, right? Woo! Uh, when you go through things like this, you have to plow through. You have to do the best you can, work that much harder, realize that your money isn't going to return you that much, hope that you can pay the bills, and get through it, because it is a rough patch to be in. And cryptocurrencies, of course, and NFTs are going to fare no differently than the rest of the economy. But we do see a good side, a good thing about all of this is that, we know that where the world is going. We know why the world is going there, and we know the reasons that the powers that be want it to go there. And the world is becoming tokenized. Everything that's digital will be NFTized. It will have a digital receipt on some form of blockchain. Everything that is physical will eventually have some form of IoT tag. They're making them, almost microscopically small now. I read an article a couple of months ago that was very interesting about a building somewhere in Europe that they were actually embedding IoT tags into every piece of metal and structural component in the building, so that you could go up and scan them with a little handheld scanner and test, look for structural cracks and integrity and all of that. It was really incredible the way they had the whole building was basically IoT'd. So that was cool. So, okay, back to this. Aptos on launch day, they reported a breakdown in communication and much lower transaction throughput than promised. That's another thing. I mean, all these networks and everything, their transaction speeds are they're abysmal. And when you talk about running dApps and everything on it, it gets a little crazy. So running things at scale would crash most of these things. Paradigm Engineer, Aptos launched today. So that was October 17th. That was yesterday, right? Transaction speed on Aptos. They promised 100,000 transactions per second, which, in the grand scheme of the cryptoverse isn't all that bad, but compared to a real network, like, a MasterCard or Visa, I consider that a private blockchain, really. We're talking orders of magnitude lower, pretty much, than that. Aptos Discord also went briefly offline. A lot of exuberance in this space, but not a lot of experience. The account, like many others, raised questions about the centralized allocation of Aptos tokens as well. So this is a FTX and Binance listed crypto. Okay, Binance Smart Chain. How can there be a spot market if people don't know what the emission schedule or total supply of coins is? Yeah. Okay, well, that's a mess. If you're not telling people how many coins you have out there, how can they put a valuation on it? That makes no sense whatsoever. So let's see here. Performing as expected. Boy, it's all about Aptos this morning on the Google feed here. Bitcoin, Ethereum, technical analysis. Bitcoin and ETH move past key resistance levels. Oh, yeah, well, thanks. All right. And again, I think that, once we have things like the CBDCs come out, very likely the Fed will be first. Who knows? I mean, I know that China is already moving towards a digital renminbi. So when we look at things like the central bank digital currencies, onboarding through retail, things like Starbucks is doing and other companies that are kind of getting people more used to NFTs and they don't even really call it, I don't even think Starbucks is calling it an NFT. In fact, let's see if we can find that. But it will become much more natural. And I think that anybody, good news, let's have some good news, right? When you are in this space and you're developing for blockchain technologies and you're developing for NFTs, especially if you're a content creator, if you're an artist, and you are doing CG and you're doing 3D and you're developing for Metaverse and all that other stuff, we are going there on a bullet train. So when where the technology is right now, which is a place that I'm not particularly thrilled with at all, in a lot of respects, we're going to get much better, much faster than we have in the past. So the things I've been looking at, waiting 20 years for, that still haven't gotten much better, are going to get better in the next couple of years by orders of magnitude better. So the people that are building these towns and these metaverses and these little off-ramps you know, these little places that you would find off the highway. All of these people are building these towns and these places with no highway, but the highway's coming. So you have to be patient, you have to work, and you have to understand that this is a longer term slog. This is akin to 1995 or 1996 in Web 2 as far as where we are, I think, in Metaverse and Web 3. And I'll go into some of that in a little bit as far as my background and my experience in Silicon Valley, because that was a huge wake-up call, going from that to where I currently live now and have lived for 20 years and everything in between. So, okay, so Hang NFT, that's funny. Starbucks Brewing Revolutionary Web3 Experience. So for its Starbucks Rewards members, right. So I'm able to use my Zoom for some reason. All right, new Starbucks Odyssey experience will offer members the ability to earn and buy digital collectible stamps that will unlock access to new immersive coffee experiences. As one of the first companies to integrate NFTs with an industry-leading loyalty program at scale, and actually Jarritos, which is a Mexican soft drink company, is fairly well involved in NFTs and has been longer than Starbucks. So, booyah on Starbucks, right? Yeah. Jarritos. As one of the first companies to integrate NFTs with an industry-leading loyalty program at scale, Starbucks will create an accessible Web3 community that will enable new ways to engage with members and partners. So one of the advantages that something like Starbucks has in this kind of endeavor is that they do have a cult, for lack of a better term. They have burnt coffee. They burn their beans, and you know, when you get a frappuccino or whatever it is, the amount of coffee you're actually getting is, you know, minuscule. But they have a cult. They have a lot of people who love their drinks and love their little snacks and all the things, and they go there almost every day, or if not more. So there's a lot of people using their rewards, using the different things, and they have an opportunity by building off of some of the more zealous customers of theirs, I would think, that they might have an opportunity to actually gamify the system and do some really cool things with it. So what are they doing here? Starbucks Odyssey, a new experience powered by Web3 technology that will offer Starbucks Rewards members and Starbucks partners in the United States the opportunity to earn and purchase digital collectible assets that will unlock access to new benefits and immersive coffee experiences. Immersive coffee. You marketing people, I swear, you need to learn how to write better. Starbucks is one of the first companies to integrate non-fungible tokens. Okay. They've always served as the third place, a place between home and work, where you feel the warmth of connection over coffee, community, and belonging. Does anybody buy this stuff? I mean, the copy, not the coffee. I get that. Leveraging Web3 technology will allow our members to access experiences and ownership that was not possible before. Okay, fantastic. Let me look at something real quick. Go over and grab my live feed because I forgot. I probably should be looking to see what's going on. And I have to go to Twitter. Pardon me, hold on just one moment. I apologize. A checklist, definitely a checklist that we are going to do and have up on our site so that you can see it as well on checklist for all kinds of stuff. Pre-flight checklist. When you are doing these things yourself, it can be a little bit hairy to make sure that you get everything right. And I'm trying to find my darn link. There it is. That was difficult. Okay, so we'll open that up. Been removed. Wait a minute. Here we go. Aha, okay. And we have Chairman in the chat, and we have Mark Gonzalez. Hi, guys. If you're still there, hello. All right. Now I got my chat window up. Okay. So overview of Starbucks Odyssey. Let me get back to that. Sorry about that, people. Okay. Members can access using their Starbucks rewards. Yeah, I mean, the Starbucks app and the way you pay at the drive-thrus and all that other stuff, and in the Starbucks themselves, is they've done a very good job of it. My wife uses it all the time. Stream Queen, hello, darling. How are you? Okay. Members can also purchase limited edition stamps through a built-in marketplace within the Starbucks Odyssey. The stamps are NFTs, of course. Web app experience. Limited edition stamps will be available for all members to purchase directly with a credit card. Each digital collectible stamp will include a point value based on rarity. Okay. Okay, and so there's a wait list. So if we've, let's go ahead and copy that link, and we'll go ahead and tweet it real quick to Twitter. And let's see, get a Starbucks NFT. Coffee is kind of burned, though. All right. And then there's the link. Another stream caught. So yeah, you can sign up for that at Starbucks. You know, evidently they haven't done anything of any import as far as announcing what the gamification is or anything like that. So, and they're aligning with sustainability commitments, because that's the hot buzzword. Okay, so Starbucks. Yes. All right. What else is going on in the world of cryptos? Attack of the crypto bots. SEC investigates Bored Apes. Well, yes, we know that. SEC is already investigating them. Formula 69 is almost on his second coffee now. All right. Red Bull to the rescue for me. All right. I'm going to go over here. All right. So, yeah, crypto bots. SEC investigates Bored Ape creator. Yeah. Let's talk about some NFTs and Bored Apes and Moonbirds and all that other stuff. What do I say to not get myself in trouble? Skeezy. A lot of it is skeezy, and I don't like it, and I never did. I had an opportunity to buy some Bored Apes, and I didn't. And, you know, for the sheer money, would I like to have $100,000 or $200,000 or whatever, sell one of those things or even more? Absolutely. And I'm not jealous or anything. I'd more power to you if you made the money. But I think the people in charge of it are questionable at best. And most of the other ones that I've seen, and I will refrain from naming names so I don't get really slammed, but there are big name NFT projects out there that before they even launched to all the way through their launch and everything else, they used questionable tactics. They used spam bots, troll farms, all kinds of things to inflate themselves, pump themselves up. There was 8 accounts trading large volumes of NFTs back and forth with each other on one particular one. Lots and lots and lots of fraud and theft and just outright pump and dump, schemes going on. We used to call them multi-level marketing or pyramid schemes, but they're of course different now because they're crypto. But that's one thing that everybody should not be surprised by. I mean, when they launched the Ape coin, for example, they did it in such a poor way that you almost would think that there was some intention of making the Ethereum network look bad by comparison. I'm sorry, was there other verse? Was there real estate or was it the Ape coin? I'm going to have to check that out. But it was one of the things that they did that caused hundreds of millions of dollars in gas fees, and it was a disaster, and it made their Ape coin look a lot better in comparison. So when you talk about shady business tactics and all that kind of stuff, you get all of it amplified plus some creative thinking in the crypto and NFT space, and you've had that. The bull market, you can see it on Twitter Spaces and in Twitter Spaces. that there's far fewer people hanging around right now. And that's because the people that are mostly left are the true believers, the builders, the people who are not into trying to rip people off with a bunch of JPEGs and run away with the money. So let's see. Oh, Lord. Okay, attack of the crypto bot. So we got a bunch of news in here. Let's see. Zuckerberg seeks Metaverse cool with Microsoft. Not exactly having fun in the Metaverse. Yeah, no doubt. I'm sorry, but whoever listened to whoever it was that said we should name this company Meta and do it, wow. You can't defend that. There's just no way to defend that trademark in court. I'm sorry. Try. You will fail. And if you somehow succeed, you still won't be able to defend it. It's a horrible name to choose. Absolutely horrible. The company formerly known as Facebook is teaming up with Microsoft to integrate the Office 365 suite into its Quest VR headset. That's great. I need a crappy software program shoved in my face. From 3D renditions of Microsoft's key apps to immersive Teams meetings, Microsoft is also looking at bringing virtual reality to creative products. Okay. Shades of Bill Gates coming on the big screen at Macworld with Steve Jobs. We are paying homage to the Microsoft beast. Okay, troubled apes. ApeCoin fell 14% on Wednesday. I know that some people made some decent bags with ApeCoin, but I don't think a lot did. Tumbling to 471 following a report that the U.S. SEC is investigating sponsor Yuga Labs over whether its popular collections of non-fungible tokens, including the Bored Ape Yacht Club, should be considered and regulated as securities. This guy from Overstock, he's been in the news so much for some reason. Was involved in a months-long effort to overturn 2020 election. Well, duh. Okay, what does that have to do with NFTs? DeFi's new $100 million exploit. Disgruntled attacker squeezed all the liquidity out of the decentralized Mango Markets crypto exchange and is apparently holding $100 million worth of tokens as ransom to force the organization to use the assets in its treasury to finance bad debt taken on to bail out a large investor earlier this year. Yeah, digital's fun. I love digital tech. I've been doing this since I was 7 years old. Do not get me wrong. But that's why I've never let somebody put a chip in my head. I mean, yeah, I will tell you, zap me for epilepsy. That's if it's a quality of life thing, that's different. But if you're talking about, hey, I'm Elon and I'd like to put a chip in the back of your neck that connects to your neural pathways. No, thank you. Next. Okay, so VCs take advantage of crypto winter. Block Tower, a Miami-based crypto-focused financial firm, unveiled its previously announced $150 million fund investing in digital assets-focused businesses. There's a lot going on in Miami with crypto. I mean, a lot. And it must be because it's a great hub for South America, for people to get in and out of South America. And I know that crypto is really doing well down there. It's taking off anyway. Let's see, Blockchain 50 call for 2023 nominations. Oh, here you go. Get on the Forbes Blockchain 50. Forbes has chronicled the institutional adoption of technology popularized by Bitcoin. So if you want to be on a list that doesn't mean anything except maybe for promotion purposes and bragging rights, go for it. Coin Center sues Treasury over Tornado Cash. Ooh, that's interesting. Let's see that, because I was reading about the fact that, or not reading about, excuse me. Shout out to Altcoin Daily. That guy, I forget his name, but he is great. Altcoin Daily on YouTube. He does a lot of coverage in all kinds of areas of NFTs and crypto and really does quite a good job covering the land. And he was talking about the fact that he was playing a video that somebody was saying that the Ethereum has gone over 51% in censored transactions. A lot of that has to do with Tornado Cash and the government coming down and saying you cannot take these transactions, you cannot allow them. So they are censoring. There's also a turbo version of miner extracted value that's a problem. there's a bunch of issues going on right now with Ethereum, and this is not something I'm happy about because we're basing our project, at least for now, on Ethereum, our main project, and our little not side project, our little starter project, and I say little, it's not little at all, is Ethereum. So guess what blockchain that one's on? Crypto policy nonprofit Coin Center filed a federal lawsuit against the U.S. Treasury Department's Office of Foreign Asset Control on Wednesday, claiming the government agency unlawfully overreached its authority when it criminalized interaction with Ethereum coin mixing tool Tornado Cash. Yeah, I'd like to know a little bit more about that too, because I'm not really sure what that. I'm sure that has to do with some anonymity. I believe with Wednesday's lawsuit, Coin Center made good. Hey, Doug, how you doing? Good morning. Would likely challenge the Tornado Cash ban in court. Yeah. So Coin Center, from what I know, at least, and I'm speculating only on this, is doing what they're doing because the government is telling them to do it. Because Ethereum was told to do it, and Ethereum said, yes, master. So... yay for decentralization. All right. OFAC justified the ban at the time by arguing that Tornado Cash, which obfuscates the trails of typically public Ethereum transactions by mixing. Okay, yes, right. Hence the name Tornado. And thus rendering them untraceable, had been used to launder money by bad actors. See, that's always, including North Korea. Jeez. That's always the case, right? They always have to blame it on those bad actors. Like, we're going to take your guns because that person killed somebody. Whoa, huh? Not my rights. Okay, so yeah, Coin Center is basically in the middle of it with a lawsuit because the government is telling Ethereum they can't do those transactions. So that's not good. What else we got? Forbes there. Okay, crypto news. Let's see. So the bear market, where are we? I've looked around, and one of the things that was very interesting that I knew wouldn't last, it's still going on, but I don't think it'll be going on for too much longer, is the whole free mint thing, where people were just like, oh, I'm going to, free mint 10,000, hope for a sellout, that are whitelist everybody and make my money on the secondary. And, sometimes that may be something that can make you enough money if you're a small project or doing whatever that, you can make that. And if you, let's say you make $10, $20, $50,000 or whatever with your art, I mean, that's great, and go for it as long as you're not, ripping anybody off and people are playing around. The other thing to consider too is that, a lot of these things aren't necessarily pump and dumps. They can be full blown collectibles. People are looking at these NFTs as collectibles. Right now I have a problem technologically with that. But they're looking at them as collectibles. They're looking at them as things that will may very well have value based on the time of mint to any particular blockchain, what it is, what art it is, and as far as cards and card games and any kind of number of things that you would find in the real world with Pokemon and coins and stamps and whatever it is that people collect. A lot of people consider these NFTs and these images, or even videos and music, but especially the images, as collectibles. Those like trading cards, things you can trade. So a lot of people are taking the trading card route when it comes to NFTs. We're using cards for our Ethereum project that look like actual physical cards. They're going to be digital twins, and we're going to make physical ones. Some of them, and so there's a lot of correlation there between thinking of NFTs as collectibles. So that's one way to think about it. And then, of course, the other way to think about it is, and then the SEC, you have to pass the Howey test basically at this point, if something is a security or not. So I think that probably most of the projects out there that have been tokenized, that are promising rewards to holders and all these other things, are more of a security than they might like to think they are. And that could be a problem for them moving forward. one of the ways that we at StreamCatcher Society have gone around that problem is that we will be, when we offer our membership for Project M2, for example, the big one, we will be selling you something. And what we will be selling you will have real value. It will be a tangible asset. It will be a thing. It will also have a digital twin. Also, that asset will be tagged with an NFC tag. And it will have a digital twin. And the thing that you buy is the thing that you buy, but it unlocks other things. So we are making a transaction. We're selling you something. And we're selling you something that's going to have value, and it's going to potentially have even more value when you mint it than you even paid for it. So, and then we're gonna have contests and all kinds of prizes and different things like that. But we're doing it legally. We're doing it in the Web2 world for Web2 frameworks, and we're not doing it from a security standpoint or anything else like that, because we're not promising generational wealth. I mean, you can make generational wealth with the things we're going to help you do, but we're not promising that you're going to sit on your ass and make generational wealth. That's ridiculous. So, and some people think it's not, but I do. So let's go further. Tama Doge rare NFTs go on sale as new exchange listing approaches. So we've got Tama Doge. What in the heck is Tama Doge? To add to the hype, Tama Doge is expected to list on CoinW exchange. So this is just another Doge derivative. You know, Dogecoin, I got ripped on Dogecoin, and it was my fault, no one else's. We bought some at the height of the hype at like 63 cents. Just a couple $1,000s, but that's a lot of money. That is to us anyway. And it was 2 days or a day before, 2 days, I think, before. No, it was a day before. Elon Musk went on Saturday Night Live and let himself be humiliated live on camera. And I really did. I thought that, I'm a good sport. I really am. But that whole thing was designed to humiliate him. And if I had been him, I probably would have walked off. I don't know if he realized it at the time or how he felt about it, but they made him look very bad. And the whole thing was just a disaster. So it caused it to tank. And in reality, this is a meme coin that was invented by a guy from IBM and a guy from Adobe. And the supply is basically pretty much limitless, I believe. And I have no idea if it will ever get higher than 63 cents or go to $1 or anything like that. You never know what the future holds, so I don't want to speculate on that. What I can tell you is that there's not much there, and they're trying to build it, kind of like the Shiba community. And we do hold some Shiba as well. We have like 80 million SHIB that's staked. And, well, there we go. Shiba Inu price prediction. Look at that. Speak, and I shall get. So let me see here. What do we got? Oh, look, find love on the best dating site. We got a commenter that's wanting somebody to find love. All right. Shiba Inu price is in the process of validating a crucial bullish pattern, likely to send it up 16.25%. Well, that's specific from the breakout point. Yeah, it's 4 zeros and a 1208. As previously discussed, the second largest meme coin rebounded after tagging support at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 zeros and a 960. So are we even looking at, what date are we looking at here? This is 18th of October. Okay. Well, XRP, there's Ripple. And I don't know what the current situation with them and the government is, but that's definitely one to watch. I always thought that they were so interested in XRP because they wanted to steal their technology or something, because they've had their sights on XRP more than any other crypto for a long time. Cardano price forecast 88 down 1. Time to buy the dip. I don't know. What do you think? Is it time to buy the dip? It's one of the funny things that you hear about. Or you hear on Twitter Spaces and other places that to be like, oh, it's a bear market's a great time to buy, buy NFTs. They're so cheap. It's like, yeah, they may be cheap if you're getting into it right now, but if you're looking at your wallets that are down 60, 70, 80%, it's not a good time. Okay, so I guess we're not finding too much more here. Let's see. And Morgan Stanley. Crypto will change the financial system. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, we all know everything's going digital. It's just a matter of time, a matter of when. I don't particularly want it to. One of the things that you should understand by now is that everything digital is traceable, trackable. Things can be turned on and off. Having fiat, having a barter system, having all those things is something I do not want to see go away, but I think we're on a bullet train going there. So we should always demand our freedoms, always demand that PayPal, for example, came out with something recently that was they were going to fine, I think, like $2,500 to certain people about social standings or doing it. Let's look that up, actually. I don't want to speak out of turn. What was the PayPal news? Yeah, PayPal debuts a new rewards program. No. Let's see. Let's try PayPal in trouble. Misinformation, misfire. Update to its acceptable use policy. Basically, it was something to the effect of they were going to initiate some kind of social credit score and fine people. Yeah, here we go. The payments and crypto giant, which also owns Venmo, remember that, people? PayPal owns Venmo, got lit up on Twitter over a Friday news report that the company planned to fine users up to $2,500 for promoting misinformation. So somebody there must have read 1984 and thought it was an instruction manual. Do not ever allow this to happen or your grandchildren will not be free. I'm telling you, don't ever allow this kind of stuff to happen. Freedom is ugly. It comes with some ugly people and it comes with some ugly statements and things that you have to deal with. And usually they're rejected in whole by society and those people are shunned and go into obscurity, but you do have to deal with them with freedom. If you don't have freedom, you can feel safe, but you have neither safety nor freedom. So just remember that. All right, decentralized news. Yeah, so not everyone's definition of misinformation is the same. Again, it's who controls all these levers. Who's in the position of power? Just like with Ethereum, let's talk about the merge for a second. The Ethereum 2.0 merge, I was mining Ethereum on two RTX 3070 graphics cards, which are now being put to better use, in my opinion, with Stable Diffusion. The amount of money you can make on them and everything is good. It was good. It was no problem with it. But what I liked about Ethereum was that decentralized database, and it's not a decentralized network per se. I mean, you can look at it as a network that is connected, that is all a network that is decentralized, but the actual decentralized part of it really is the database that is spread around. People mine, do the transactions, form consensus via the internet, and that's a decentralized blockchain, a decentralized network, if you will. And all of the things about power and all that, I really don't want to go into that right now, but trust me, when people tell you stuff really, really loud and you hear it all the time, there's usually an agenda. And the people who are telling people that these networks consume power and all that, they're running networks that consume 100 times or 1,000 times more the power. So power wasn't an issue. Proof of work, going from that to proof of stake, takes those hundreds of thousands, if not millions of graphics cards, I have no idea how many there were in total, takes them and brings them down to a set of validator nodes. So you are centralizing a decentralized network, and the Ethereum Foundation is in control of it. And when the US government said, do not do Tornado Cash transactions, Ethereum Foundation said, okay, and censored the network. So how are we in decentralized land? Not decentral land, decentralized land. Okay, so these things are networks. I've heard a lot of people in the last year and a half or 2 years on Twitter and in Twitter Spaces when they came out, saying that they wanted to do a Web3 YouTube, that they want own your content, have it personalized. You can make all the money from it. You can have all your analytics, whatever it is. And that's great. The idea of personal data ownership, the idea of people not being able to monetize your data, which is how Facebook and Twitter and Google and everybody operates. You are the product. The idea of that is fantastic. But when it comes down to brass tacks, you cannot start a YouTube killer unless you have server capacity, unless you have infrastructure, unless you have the ability to serve millions and millions and millions and millions of videos per day, pretty much right out of the gate. I don't know what Rumble's start was as far as the amount of videos they could serve per day or the amount of traffic they could handle, but I'm assuming it was substantial. And when I say substantial, I mean, I'm assuming a few 100,000 at least, concurrent connections or connections per day or something like that. It had to be, fairly decent. They had to have a decent server farm. They had to say, we're going up against YouTube. We got to have some silicon. We've got to have some ammo, some arsenal here. And that requires money. It just does. And that's like with us when we were talking about building StreamCatcher Society and what we were going to do and everything else. The only way that this did work for us was to have physical, hard, valuable things that we could sell to you that in turn we could NFTize, digital twin, make into 3D GLB files, do really cool things with, push the envelope and bring you something, prove it in production where you say, yeah, we're going to go with them because they know what they're doing and they know where this is going. But without that, we wouldn't be building a community. I couldn't honestly, in good conscience, put out a bunch of drawings and say, I've got an idea, follow me. I've got a good CV from 15, 20 years ago. Family things, other things come up. You do other things. What have you got to show now? What have you got to show me now? And so that's what we're doing. We're proving it in production. We're building real things. We're using the technology as it is coming, as it makes sense. Again, one of the other things too, that when, if you're in these NFT projects and you're gung-ho on crypto and you're gung-ho on Web3, awesome. Because this is the future. We're going towards, this global connected world where we can all communicate in real time, where we're going to go and have virtual chat spaces and we're going to go have virtual environments and all kinds of, we're going there on a bullet train for sure. But you cannot make the technology, you cannot worship it to the point where you put blinders on as to the ease of use of things, as to where people that you want to meet people where they live, right? So you cannot be so married to a technology that you can't, for example, decide, hey, I'm selling NFTs and I want to onboard people and I want to do this, but I'm also going to sell in fiat. I'm going to give you the opportunity to buy a membership in fiat. And if you want to buy that because it's easy enough for you to say, click, buy now, we're going to let you do that. Excuse me. And then we'll work on the NFT. Well, we're going to have a process, of course, in place and make it easier and make it as automated as possible. But you don't force people to go out of their way. You at least meet them halfway. You at least bring something to them that's easier to digest. And loving technology as I do, and having used it for 48 years of my, 47 years or 46 years of my life solid. I mean, full blown 10 hours a day, all day long for many years until I burned out. You have, sorry, train of thought here. You cannot be so wedded to technology that it's for technology's sake you're doing it. Just because you think Web3 and decentralized or whatever you think about it is the future, that doesn't mean there aren't 7.4 billion other people who have no idea what you're talking about. Not even a little bit. I mean, maybe a little bit, but not, not enough. And from a technology standpoint, I can handle almost anything. I can do scripting. I can, do some stuff in coding. I'm not a coder, but besides that, I can handle anything. I've built thousands of computers. I have done networking for convention centers. I mean, it runs the gamut. I've pretty much done anything that you can name with computers. And this space is maddeningly, frustratingly, technically piss poor. It's not good. I go back to one of the things I say in spaces a lot, which is, in the 90s when I was in Silicon Valley, San Francisco in specific, and I was working in the high-tech sector in journalism and doing a lot of other things on the side, we were building a lot of and I say we collectively as a city, as Silicon Valley was building a lot of the tools that we're using today. And there was competence, there was a level of understanding, even in some of the things that we were building, and that people were building that were new, there was a level of understanding of the core technologies of TCP/IP. We were learning things on the fly, definitely, but you had to know your stuff to a certain degree to be in a company in Silicon Valley. You couldn't just walk in the door and be anybody. So there was a level of proficiency there. But I always say that it's kind of like back then, if we had said, that, oh, hey, if you want to get on the internet, you got to connect your bank account. I don't think we'd have an internet. So that's kind of like with the Connect Wallet feature, with the fact that anybody can send you anything to a wallet if they have your wallet address without verification, the fact that you can't just easily throw things away. That scripts can be, when you interact with a script, or let's say you connect wallet and buy an NFT on a website, that smart contract, which is only a program, and it's a simple program, by the way, it's a simple scripting, React and Solidity and all those things are fairly simple, high-level languages. You have the possibility of getting, when you buy that NFT, you have the possibility of getting a smart contract with malicious code in it that can sit in your wallet for 6 months or until it hits a certain amount, or any number of things to pull out certain amounts at a time. Anything you could think about to write in a code, it can be put in there. So there's like this one site called revoke.cash, which I'm not endorsing at all. I'm not saying you should go there. I've done it. I've tried it a couple times, and there was actually a couple of smart contracts in my wallet that looked malicious. So I got rid of those. But I didn't, revoke.cash, who are they? Connect Wallet. You got to connect Wallet to figure it out. Sandboxing, things like that. I mean, we sandbox our virtual machines and environments all the time. There's tons of different things that can be done in this tech space that could make it far, far better. And right now, it's a bit of a mess. So I'm definitely looking for people who, and what do I want? Well, let's talk about what we want, right? Do I want cross-chain? I mean, sure, eventually, or, let's say down the road, let's say 10 years down the road, for lack of a better way to put it, we have 10 cryptos that have won and everything else has gone away. And we've only got the 10. Of course, we want them all to be able to interoperate and whatever, but you're going to have fees and transactions along the way. And I think this whole space is a transaction laden. It's kind of ridiculous that you want to get this into Ethereum and get an ERC20 or convert this from that into wax, and you got to jump through this. I've got 5-6 wallets with multiple NFTs and different wallets, and it is not conducive to the consumer right now. And that's one of the problems. We're developers, we can handle things, whatever it is, we can do stuff, but you have got to take yourself out of your own shoes and put yourself in the shoes of your mother, or, the old lady down the street, or the guy, who's walking his dog who has no idea about computers at all. Because everybody is, especially as a creator, everybody's your customer, right? Everybody potentially is your customer, depending on what kind of content you're creating. So don't be focused so much on the crypto market that you can't see the forest for the trees, because eventually, whether it takes 5 years or 50 years, everybody will be onboarded into digital currency in one way or the other, know about digital collectibles, things will be coming. But right now, you need to kind of take the Apple approach, which is the Apple approach being, sorry, the Apple approach being we're going to let other people screw it up first, and then we'll come in and fix it. And that has generally, historically worked out extremely well for them. They've very rarely been first to market with things. And when they were, the few times they really were, it wasn't that much of a success. I think of the Apple Newton, which I loved, by the way, but I think of the Apple Newton and, there's a couple others. But you want to be a little bit agnostic when it comes to technology, being on the bleeding edge, committing to one cryptocurrency over another, being a maximalist, I guess is the best way to put it, is not the smartest thing to do, especially in a space that is so volatile, prone to change. I always think about a space like this. We're talking about transactions per second, for example. That's the kind of thing that can be absolutely changed quickly with algorithms, with compression technologies, with different ways of coding. A 12-year-old kid literally somewhere could create a new compression or algorithm technology or math formula or whatever it might be that literally takes the capability of transactions per second from 100,000 to 10 million. Who knows? And that could start a whole new blockchain, and that could kill every other blockchain. When I was in San Francisco, I tell this story often. We used a service back in 2000 for quite a few months called WebVan. And we didn't have super great internet at my house. I did have fiber internet at my house. We lived in a Victorian in the Haight. In San Francisco, and it wasn't the fastest internet or anything. I think it was probably 20 megabits. I mean, it wasn't bad, but I had fiber at work. But anyway, so even at home, being on a slower connection, we would use this service called WebVan, and we'd order just like you would order today on Kroger or any of the grocery sites that allow you to order online. And they would actually come bring it to your house and walk it up 2 flights of stairs to my Victorian in my apartment and put it away for you if you even wanted to. And they were great. They wouldn't even accept tips, although we gave them to them. They were awesome, and they were going to expand, and they had the last I had heard, and this was in 2000, was it 2000, that they were putting in like 26 warehouses around the country, and that they were going to go ahead and expand and just go nuts. And then a month later, they were gone. The website was gone. I couldn't find anything else about them. They were just gone. And so there was a lot not a lot, but there were quite a number of internet startups that came into the Silicon Valley area, blew through a lot of money and disappeared. There were quite a few of them, but the range and rate and amount of those kinds of things happening in the Web3 space is exponential. Because why? Well, the whole internet exploded all over the planet with cellular networks, with cell phones, with mobile internet, with all the ways that people can connect now, and the internet, Web 2.0 really gelling, which took 20 years, by the way. We have a lot of capability all over the planet to access all kinds of different things, people who haven't had that access before. Or just connectivity, that we're able as a global internet now to kind of see each other, and that creates a lot more fraud. It creates a lot more bad projects. It creates a lot more bad ideas getting funded, and especially when you're smaller as a small business or an independent creator, who you listen to and who you decide to go with for any reason, for memberships, for whatever it might be. Who you pick to follow is very important, because there's just so much fraud out there, and we're going to try and make sure to protect you from some of it, but you really have to do your own due diligence and do your own research. We are not giving financial advice here. We'll tell you about our feelings and thoughts on things, but we're not telling you what to do with your money. That is completely your free will. So MasterCard will help banks offer cryptocurrency trading, CNBC. Well, that's interesting. They want their cut of the cryptocurrency trading. So, and really you have to, once you've read and created headlines for as long as I have, you can kind of read through the bullcrap just with the headline itself. Coinbase CEO sells coin. Oh, interesting. So, I keep saying so. Cryptocurrency prices and news. New probes into FTX, Sandbag. Okay, yes, this is all stuff we've been doing. So, where are we trying to take the NFT space? I almost don't even like to call it the NFT space or the Web3 space. What are we talking about here? Web3 is a layer on top of Web 2. So it includes blockchain technology, it includes Connect Wallet, it includes, I would say Web 3 includes the spreading out of the internet, the democratization of it in that way, as far as global high-speed internet becoming more ubiquitous, more available via mobile. Those are the things I think of when I think of Web 3. When I think of decentralized, I think scam. I think if somebody is sitting out there preaching decentralized all day long, they either, one, don't understand it, or two, they're trying to obfuscate something or do something else or make something seem as what it's not. Because to be truly decentralized, let's think about this. I mean, the nuclear reactor at Natanz in Iran is decentralized because it's an air-gapped network. So whatever happens on that network, and that's it. Now, until somebody brings a USB flash drive in. That's another story entirely. When you have a network that is independent of another network, and you turn the other one off and you say, this is the new one, then you can go Web 1, Web 2, Web 3 in that regard. What we're talking about are technologies that live and exist because the internet exists. So you cannot have Bitcoin without the internet. You can't do it. Bitcoin forms consensus of its blockchain via the internet. So what is it? It's a decentralized database. It's not a decentralized application or a decentralized cryptocurrency. It's a decentralized database. So the whole word decentralization, I think, has been bastardized to the point of unrecognizability. And when we talk about NFTs, they are glorified barcodes. They're glorified QR codes. What they can do, what we can do with them, is quite exciting. But what they are is, in my opinion, fairly boring. And the reason is because what is an NFT? What exactly is a non-fungible token? Well, a fungible token is a Shiba coin, an Ethereum coin. These are things that there are many of them. They all have a certain, they're identical. They all have a certain value. And one is one, all is one. They're all the same. And NFT, being a non-fungible token, is something unique that is minted to the blockchain. And in this case, we have to kind of delineate too, what are you buying when you buy an NFT? In reality, what you think you're buying is you think you're buying the art, right? So let's say you're buying a piece of artwork or even a video, like I've said, or a music file or whatever. When you buy that NFT, you're buying that art with any given rights to it, a high-res file, all those other things. From a technical standpoint, what you're actually buying is you're buying a hash on a blockchain. So it was a time-stamped, unique identifying hash on a blockchain that says, this is this, and it's got metadata with it. It's maybe has a smart contract. Well, it does have a smart contract attached to it. And then your data, your image, your videos, everything else lives somewhere else. Lives on IPFS, lives on any number of the other kind of blockchain cloud services that are out there. It could live on Dropbox for all, all intents and purposes. It has to live somewhere so it can be called to via the metadata that's in the hash of the blockchain. So when you're buying an NFT, what are you buying? You're buying a hash on a blockchain that has metadata in it that refers to an image that you have either bought the full rights to or partial rights to or whatever it may be. But you're not even buying when you say I've bought this and I own this, you can show a string of numbers and letters. That's your hash, that you own that. But the person who bought the cloud service, I mean, like, let's say you could put it on Drop, and you could effectively put it like on a Dropbox or a Google link. So let's say you did that and you paid for it for 10 years. What happens after that 10 years? Where does your NFT still live? Do you have to make arrangements for it to live somewhere else? Because what you bought, again, is the hash on the blockchain. So these are things that I've thought about quite often, and I don't necessarily see solutions for it. But I also do know that Wax supposedly is storing information on the blockchain, and I need to look into that further. Shout out to Brad Music NFTs on Twitter for telling me about that and helping me to get set up with Wax. I still have not gone through the process yet, though, because I've been a little bit busy. All right, hold on just one second. So where do we go in the future? What's the good news, right? What's the good news? Let's focus on some good news, because there could be lots of bad news if we're not careful. But the good news is, from a content creation standpoint, from a musician standpoint, from an artist standpoint, we are living in amazing times. And I truly believe, even with things like AI art and AI music, if you're an experience creator, if you're somebody who creates artwork, even if it just hangs on a wall, that's an experience. Looking at art is an experience. But if you're a really good experience creator, whatever that experience may be, I think that there's a bright future ahead of you if you can handle what's coming from the technology standpoint, understanding things like the metaverses that are coming. Somebody in the space the other day was saying, well, it's all one metaverse. Everything is connected. And he had a point. He was talking about Tesla being its own, kind of metaverse. All the data is virtual reality and everything else. Yes, there will always be fights for control of pipes. So there will never just be one. Yes, is there only one internet? Yes, but if you look at Facebook is kind of its own internet. It's a ghetto. It's an internet ghetto. So is Twitter. And so, these are all walled gardens that in effect are their own little micro networks on the internet. And that's kind of how I see the metaverse being. In fact, I truly believe that Ready Player One was let me see, rated. Oh, who was rated? Doug says something was rated. Anyway, what was I saying? I truly believe that Ready Player One was a blueprint. And not a movie. So it's, of course, a movie, but I believe that it was kind of a blueprint for the elite. It was their, clarion call to say, this is what we want. And what do we want? The oasis. And it's the thing that makes the most sense if you think about it, being one metaverse around the world that connects everything and everyone, just like the internet. So I kind of think of the oasis as internet 2.0 or 3.0, however you want to look at that. But the next internet, which will be a mix of virtual and AR and overlays, and it will blend with the real world, or it will replace the real world in certain circumstances. But we are definitely moving there. And one area that is going to really, really need people is content creation. And when I say content creation, I mean being an artist, being someone who can create beautiful things, whether it's artwork or stories or animation, 3D models, whatever it may be. If you're good and you're creative and you can work as part of bigger teams, or even if you're working on your own, there are tons of opportunities coming up. But it is a nonstop, I'm in school forever kind of thing. The technologies are always changing. Things that you learn today may become completely useless to you a year from now, but I don't think they're ever completely useless. So I backtrack that. When I say that, I know how to do NURBS curve modeling with lofted surfaces and splines, and that all the splines have to have the exact number of points and all that. Nobody's ever going to do that kind of modeling again, as far as I know, because it's torture. But I know how to do it, and in learning how to do those things, it taught me a lot more about model topology and how to model things properly in any number of different ways that I think definitely helps. So everything that you learn, you just chalk it up to more experience and more learning. But the metaverse, I believe, will be kind of like the Oasis, where I think we're all going to be developing different environments and worlds and things based on the topologies that the big boys create. Because right now, a lot of back end or a lot of behind the scenes work is being done on things like topologies and compression and sharding and how do you get more people in one VR environment and all these kinds of things. So big boys are figuring out big problems, big boys and girls. Boys and girls, lots of women in tech. There's a lot of women in tech. I don't know why people think there aren't, but there are a lot of people in tech. Not a ton of them in programming, but there are a lot of women in tech. So we are going to, be on this bullet train towards creating metaverses. And I say metaverses because yes, there will be competition. There will be multiple metaverses. Ultimately, I think all of those will plug in to one large metaverse, but kind of like bubbles, every metaverse is its own universe, and some bubbles will interact, some will merge, some will bounce into each other from time to time. But everything ultimately, the goal is to plug everything into one global mind, the Gaia network, the whatever, the Oasis. So I believe that. But the opportunities for content creation are just going to be off the chart. And I think in part, one of the things that they know, and I keep saying they, people who really have the money in this world, people who really make things move, the Googles, all these big companies, even Meta, what they know is that this stuff, like the AI art and all of the video generation tools and the text to 3D that's coming out and all this stuff, they know the amount of content that they need to recreate the world, to bring new things to life, to do what they want to do in the metaverse is just a tremendous amount of stuff. So they're saying, well, everybody can generate it. And yes, to a point, I think a lot of people will get on board with the whole idea of generating AI art and doing their own stuff. But you can go out and you can look in the feeds and in the art feeds and stuff, and you can see there's really, just like with everything else, it's 90% the same old, and 10% or so or 5% that really shines, that shows you something different, that is new and unique. You need to be in that 5% at all times. So, but there's tons of opportunity. And I think that when I say tons of opportunity, I mean globally. The whole idea that somebody can be in any country in the world right now and be working on metaverse stuff and being paid well for it is a new thing, and it's going to get more so that way. There's people doing metaverse offices, the Met Office, and Rizzo out there. Do some shout outs actually too to Feels and Doc Wu and Kabir, Mish, Jody, all the people on Twitter who are sticking it out through the bear market. We'll maybe take a look at that in a minute too. Let's see where we are. 12:20. Okay. Let's go ahead. I'm going to take a break for just 1 minute here, if you'll allow me, and I will be right back. Okay, just need a break for a minute there. So, yeah, the metaverses are coming. We have NVIDIA working on Omniverse. We can go ahead and take a look at that. What NVIDIA is doing, of course, is trying to sell more graphics cards, but they're doing a great job of it. And they're really, really working hard on all kinds of different technologies and different tools and different ways that everybody from artists and creators to programmers and architects and any number of engineers and people can work on and with their tools. And oh, did I not type in Omniverse? I thought I did. So they're trying to be a bridge. You know, they call it Omniverse, 3D simulation platform. And I think that I'm mad as hell that NVIDIA and Apple cannot seem to play well together for some reason. So we have the fact that we cannot have NVIDIA graphics cards in Macintoshes or Hackintoshes, and those will go away because of Apple Silicon. So they'll be going away probably in the next few years at the most. The world right now of high-end graphics belongs to PCs. So, and it has for a while. So I'd like to see that change. I'd like to see Apple put in 10 of those M1s or M2s or whatever, because they cost, the M1s right now cost them like $35 each. So you could easily put 10 of those in a machine for $400 on a custom motherboard and blow the doors off 3090s. You could actually make that little red, line chart that they have mean something. So let's see. Excuse me. Yeah, connect 3D worlds and workflows. So let's take a look at this. So 3D design. I know that word. Universal scene description file. So yeah, so we've got the metaverse. What are the file formats right now? GLB and USD. It's GLD, ITF, and some other things, but basically GLB and USD. The USDZ or USD format, both are applicable, was created, I believe, by Pixar, and they they helped to advance it and get some other things done. And I believe now that USD is better than GLB for delivery of 3D web files and 3D blockchain files, at least right now. But I do know that people are using GLBs. That's something we're going to talk about more and get into. That's on the list to cover is metaverse file formats and that kind of thing. Omniverse, uses USD as its primary input-output mechanism for the pipeline. And you can see here we've got, users working on different items or different aspects of a scene in real time all around the world, which is cool. So collaborative workflows, collaborating remotely with workforces, big factor, big thing that we're going to be definitely putting a lot of time into. We have a visual effects supervisor that we have gotten on the hook to do some work with us in that regard, who is just fantastic and has worked all over the world with some of the most major people and studios that you can name. And we'll be doing some deep dive courses on that. I highly recommend checking out the NVIDIA Omniverse stuff. They are working big time with tools from Blender to Cinema to Maya to Photoshop to Unreal to, I don't know if they're working with Unity or not. I don't see, is that the Unity icon? I'm not sure if they probably are, but I think that Unreal is probably more on what they're doing. But then there's a NVIDIA Studio. They've just got a ton of things going on. The Stable Diffusion AI art programs that we're running locally, some are being run on Apple Silicon. I used this one called Diffusion B, and it totally crashed my little Mac Mini. It didn't like it at all. Page file, RAM swaps, all that stuff was not doing well with it. So running on RTX 3070, at decent settings, you're talking a couple of minutes per image. And then with the 3090s and up, you can do Dream Booth AI stable diffusion. So I'm looking forward to that. And then, of course, if you're doing regular just 3D work, the NVIDIA cards are pretty much superior both in price and performance to any of the AMD cards. And I do have an AMD 6900 XT, which I was very ticked off to find out about pretty much the lack of support for Redshift with it. Although you can, with almost the same silicon in a higher end Pro model, you can do Redshift. So those are the kind of things that I don't like. Let's see, Creative Powerhouse. State-of-the-art NVIDIA Studio systems powered by the world's best NVIDIA GeForce RTX and NVIDIA RTX GPUs. Yeah, again, they're kicking butt. They are doing a lot with bringing interoperability between products and between applications. And I have been doing a lot of research into all the different areas that they've been covering. And then we have some stuff you can buy. There's stuff you can buy. Dell, we'll be covering some more PC hardware in the future too. I think it's inevitable. We use the tools that we use to do the job. Our personal choice would be Macintosh all the way, even though the pricing structures and some of the things for their hard drives and RAM and all that have always been crazy. But I believe that overall it's a better experience. The problem becomes in raw horsepower, raw computing, the availability of Windows and machines all around the world that people are programming on and doing great things on. So, you cannot ignore it. And I would highly recommend that you use the best tools you have and use the tools that you have at your accessibility and figure out the best way to use them. So that's an interesting box. Main Gear Vibe. Let's see. So an RTX 2070 Super, which isn't that great. And it's a Ryzen, which... here's the problem with the Ryzens. I'll just let you know. There's something called the divide by zero error that happens in high-end 3D applications, simulation apps, things like that. And AMD processors, for some reason, have always been susceptible to it. They run great. They're fast processors, lots of cores. In my opinion, they're kicking ass over Intel in a lot of regards. But Intel they're the stable one. They're the one that, Autodesk recommends that you use for all their tools. That's where I typically go. Now, I do have an AMD Ryzen, and I believe it's a 5600. I'll have to take a look. And that's kind of inconsequential to what I'm doing with it now, running Stable Diffusion. But if I was running a Cinema 4D or Blender or whatever on it, I'm sure for the most part it would be fine. A lot of people run AMDs, but there is one of those, there is some of those errors in there, those divide by zeros and other things that go on with the AMD CPUs. That some of the higher end graphics software companies don't particularly care for. So it's just something to consider when you're thinking about processors that you're going to buy. And then there's a ProArt. Yeah, the Asus ProArt stuff is pretty nice. I have a ProArt motherboard that I've Hackintoshed that is running beautifully. CyberPower PC, RTX 27. What's with these 2070s? Trying to get rid of 2070s. And this is NVIDIA's Studio Shop. That's really weird. I don't even know. Let's see if we've got any availability on the RTX 4090 yet. Ooh, $2,700. There's a 4090 Trinity OC for 22. Okay, so now we're getting better. There's a rip-off job and a slightly less rip-off job. Okay, so the Zotac. I've had a few Zotac boards and not boards. I've had a few Zotac products, a couple of graphics cards, and I have not had a problem with them. So I've not. I wouldn't go out of my way necessarily to recommend Zotac, but it's one of those ones where I have not had a problem with them. EVGA had tons of problems with their graphics cards. Compatibility issues, all kinds of things. And when you're try to run multiple operating systems and different stuff, not just Windows, you tend to find out the limitations of graphics cards, chipsets, all kinds of different things, Wi-Fi, that kind of stuff, and you learn the ins and outs of why things don't work the way they should. Corners being cut, software, not being properly developed, certain chips used over others because they're cheaper, that kind of thing. Not the main core chips, just communication chips, that kind of thing. RTX 4090 for 24. That's as much as a 24-inch Cintiq Touch. Okay, so, and now the 3090s have come down by about 50, 60 bucks, I think. No. Let's see, look at the 3090 Ti OC edition. So right now, the cards are still fairly expensive. The MSRP on, let's see what the MSRP on the 4090 is. RTX. Release date, price, specs. Okay. That's Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, who sports a badass leather jacket every time he comes out, and he just looks like he's actually cool, and he doesn't need to say it. All right. Arrived on October 12th, and it's now available to pre-order. Okay. Price. Okay, so yeah, the RTX 4090 price is $1,599 US. So everything beyond that, you're basically getting price gouging because people know that they can charge for it, and so they are. So the Ada Lovelace flagship, they called it Ada Lovelace, which I believe he said she was a programmer. I'm not sure on that, but it's a code name for their chipset for their new 4090 Lovelace. And the 4090 AIB models to cost even more. So yeah, okay, so the specs on the 4090 and the 3090, take a look at this, 24 gigabytes. You need this much to run that Dream Booth AI that gives you stable diffusion. Boost clock, so we've got a full 800 megahertz boost clock higher, and we've got a full 800 megahertz higher on the base clock as well. We have 6,000 more cores almost than CUDA cores almost than the 3090. It looks like we have 60% more ray tracing cores, somewhere around there. Tensor cores 512 versus 328. And the bus width is the same, which is to be expected. 12-pin PCIe Gen 5 power connector. Okay. So remember that when these are the kind of things when you're speccing out a system. And another thing too, man, I would love to help you guys in the future. Not like there aren't 3 million videos on YouTube already about it, but about building your own system and not being scared of that, because that is so not hard to do. There's a little complexity to it. There's some wires, to connect and make sure you're doing this or that right. But if you could do an erector set when you were a kid, you can build a computer. They're not that hard to do. Pardon me. Yeah, so capable of, so yeah, when you are building your own machine, especially if you're doing newer stuff, you need to make sure that you have the right connectors and all that other kind of stuff. Do a checklist before you purchase everything, that you have everything that you need, because if you don't get everything, chances are you'll be waiting a couple days for that mailman to come with the other part you need. And I've done it. So I am talking from experience. So yeah, all right. So the RTX 4090, it's supposed to be 1600, but it is obviously not 1600. It is running 2200, and that's the Zotac model. So the Zotac is going to be a little bit lower priced. They're not as name brand as others, and in fact I heard NVIDIA or EVGA is going to be ditching their graphics cards entirely, which surprised me. I'm not sure that's true, But if true, they always say that to cover their butt. If true, that is interesting. So we got a 3060 for $379. Really? Wow. Amazing. I bought a couple of those to do mining with and never got them installed, unfortunately. 3070 Ti 681. I was paying about $1,000 for those a year ago, and that was a good deal. RTX 3060. Okay, that's the one I have. Oh, that one still retains some value. 469. So again, the mining. That's the one good thing about Ethereum 2.0 is it definitely reduced the desirability for graphics cards from the miners. So prices have come down somewhat, but they have not ever. I don't think they'll ever go back down to where they were. Once you start charging for something and people keep paying for it, why go down? So there's that. Okay, so where does this all go from here? What PFPs, your art career, Blue to Black over on Twitter Spaces, Fricky Skulls, Twitter Spaces, a bunch of different people over there who are helping artists in one way or another. And the goal for most of them, of course, would be to sell their artwork. And in Twitter Spaces, a lot of times they're trying to sell Bibles to the church because there's a bunch of artists in there trying to sell their artwork. But you have to think bigger. You have to look wider. You have to understand what it is you're trying to sell, who it is you're trying to sell to, and realize that you are part of a big world now that you can access. But if you don't have ways to properly monetize it and do the things you need to do, then you're going to listen to a lot of people who are going to take you down a primrose path towards their profit and not yours. And that's one of the things that we want to help you try to avoid moving forward. There's lots of ways that you can do things, and a lot of them are wrong. So we're going to be covering that. Let's see, what else do we have? Yeah, I mean, we are heading towards the digitization of everything, the IoTization of everything, the NFTization of everything. The NFT space is not exciting to me because the NFT space will become everything. You'll have an NFT receipt for your washer and dryer that you bought at Worst Buy, and the IoT tags that come with them will be wedded to that NFT receipt, to the digital. You could even have a digital twin of the washer and dryer if for a reason you needed one. But everything is going that way. So when you buy things and you get receipts online, eventually they will be on the blockchain. They will, every transaction will be recorded. That is the goal, for better or for worse, because trust me, it could be made worse. But for better or for worse, we are going there. And so the NFT space, as it were, right now, there's a lot of developers and a lot of creators and a lot of cross-pollination of, I'm going to help you and collaborate with you, and I'm going to buy your art and you're going to buy my art. But that does not make a market. That does not make a Pixar movie. It does not make a Marvel character. It does not make something that endears people and compels them to get together to celebrate that thing. We need bigger, we need stronger, and we can only do that together as groups. So finding your tribe, finding the people that you connect with, finding the people that you can listen to and trust and get really good advice about things. That's when you come on something like YouTube. I'm an expert. Listen to me. I know what's going on. Nobody else knows what's going on. Just me. Yeah, shut up. No, there's tons of people out there who have good solutions for any number of things. They are not necessarily in it for just themselves. They do want to help you, but do they have the experience? Do they have the connections? Do they have the time in enough to know what they're talking about to truly be able to help you properly? And there's going to be a lot of areas that I'm going to tell people, currently I am not capable of helping you in that area. And maybe I will be, maybe I won't, or I'll tell you, oh, no, I'm not interested in that at all. But the things I am good at, they happen to mesh very well together. So business development, conference management, magazine publishing, website development, all of the things, and on art, of course, and having dealt with artists for all my life in varying capacities, those kind of things convert, and tech, and being since 7 years old, those things converge into something that is a little bit more unique than most. And also you take the factor of being in San Francisco for 6 years, almost 7, and being there from 95 to 2001, you're talking about just a huge amount of experience and different things I went through when Web 2 was being built up, and then moved all the way across country, ultimately to West Virginia, which is like going from the top of the mountain to the bottom, okay, from a tech perspective. And that taught me a lot. It taught me a ton about how regular people deal with technology, how their interfaces to those technologies are, what they're using, what kind of networks they're on. We definitely have blinders on in the high-tech sector sometimes. We think, well, everybody should, have this or do this or understand this or know, or it's this easy, or it's just this. That's not the case at all. So coming from both of those perspectives, finding a good middle ground, understanding that, our job isn't, personally at StreamCatcher, is not to onboard people. I mean, we could sit here all day long and have lessons on how to do your wallet or how to do, I'm going to assume you're a little bit smarter than that. And if you're having those kinds of problems, there's absolutely tons of resources out there that you can find, and we are going to compile some and definitely help you out with that. But it's not our goal to onboard you into crypto per se. I think that ultimately will happen if you're not onboarded into crypto right now and you're getting interested in it. If you are in crypto, or if you've never even heard about it, all of those three people, those three types, will eventually be in the same place. So I'm not that worried about it, because the things we're building for are much longer term. They're not for the JPEG stock market. They're not thinking about it from a purely Web3 standpoint of what are we building here? Are we building a Web3 business? No, we're building a business with Web3 components, with Web3 memberships, with NFT memberships, however you want to put, whatever buzzword you want to attach to it. We're building a real business that has high-tech components to it that allow us to do specific and unique and new things. And if you don't treat it like a business, if you don't have contracts, and if you don't have your LLCs or your incorporation papers, and you don't work with trademarks and copyrights, and you don't properly do the things that you're supposed to do before you get going, then you can't be that serious, because you're not protecting yourself. And if you're not protecting yourself, why would you expect anyone else to assume that you can protect them in any way, shape, or form, either as, a leader of a community or somebody that gives you advice or anything else? Everything has to be done properly, above board, like a typical business would. And then you tweak the components, you tweak the new stuff, you bring that addition on board, you add Metaverse, you add Web3, you add Connect Wallet, whatever you want to add in that regard. But there has to be some there. Starbucks is a perfect example. They're not going to come out and issue, NFTs for nothing. They're going to issue NFTs based on their coffee, because they have a business that is already established that allows them to expand their business and create new forms of revenue, create new forms of interactivity, create new forms of ways of getting new customers. Any number of factors that you can say this is a positive, and net positive for Starbucks to do NFTs, right? But their business isn't NFTs. That's like saying my business is QR codes. Well, I've got a pretty crappy business. So where are we with Brokebear Mountain, as the title says? I don't like at all, I despise profiting off of someone else's loss. And that's what the stock market is built on pretty much. They say it's not. Oh, yeah, we're investing in businesses. Not anymore. Not really. Yeah, you put your money in Tesla, you believe in Tesla, that's what you think. But there's so many trades going on with options and calls and shorts and longs and puts, and the amount of money that is going around is so ridiculous based on valuations and different things that have no basis in reality whatsoever. They're just the whole system, the whole money magic system is broken. And that's kind of why people like the idea of cryptocurrencies. But the problem is all the cryptos are tied to the real valuations of things like fiat and everything else, which are still tied to things like precious metals. Everything is tied together. So if you're not creating a business that would work on its own without the NFT and without cryptocurrency, you may be barking up the wrong tree. Now, that said, a musician is a perfect example of where the NFT and crypto and that kind of thing could be potentially the only way for them to make a living with their work. So music, I hate to say this, but I've had musicians in my life, all my life. My father was a musician. One of my best friends in the world was a professional musician for 30 years of his life, played in a Grateful Dead cover band. I've had worked security at concerts, loved music. Music is a big part of my life. Music is a dime a dozen, right? There's I can't tell you how many guitarists I've known in my life. I mean, music is something that isn't necessarily easy to do, but lots of people love it to the point where lots of people want to do it. And they want to play drums, or they want to play bass or guitar or whatever it might be. So when you have music and it is ubiquitous, it's everywhere, there's lots of it, you have to stand out and you have to shine. If you have a reggae, Blem is an example. Blem, how you doing, buddy? This is a Best Life Embracing Morals there on YouTube. Shout out. He's doing some cool stuff with his daughter and animation and music. As a small musician with, I've got to find a better word for this, with Web3, the new web, the new globalized web that we are finding ourselves on, you, as a musician, you can build your tribe. You can sell music yourself. You can build experiences. Depending on how capable you are, you can issue your music. You can sell it direct to your to people who want to listen to it. You can build a community of your own. The possibilities are there for you to do that. Now, it's a tremendous amount of work. Excuse me. Don't let anybody tell you differently. It is a tremendous amount of work. Deciding that you're going to make a successful Twitter account, for example, is a tremendous amount of work, because you're going to put in all told and done, when you get done with button taps and looking and everything else, you're probably putting in an hour or two a day to make your Twitter account good, to build the followers, to engage with people, to think of good tweets. Everything is time, right? Everything is time-based. It takes time to do these things. So when you're building as a musician and you're doing it yourself, it's very much like the, abolish the police thing. If you want police abolished, great, but realize that you're going to have to be the cops. You're going to have to come in and you're going to have to say, I'm okay with the idea of defending myself, possibly even getting a gun, or, maybe in a situation where somebody is coming into my house to attack me or my family, I'm okay with killing them, because that's what I have to do in order to survive. But if you're not okay with that, then you may want some cops around. So don't say abolish the police. That's the same kind of thing. If you are a musician and your passion is music and all you ever want to do is music, and you don't want to do social and you don't want to do those other things, you will either, one, toil in obscurity all your life and no one will ever hear your music because you won't be able to get it out there. Or two, you will find somebody who believes in you, believes in your music, that can promote you and sell your music, either a big label or a little person out in Web3 or whoever it is, but somebody that's going to take a cut of what it is that you earn from your content to promote you, to sell your content to other people. So you always have to pay the piper, no matter what it is, whether it's in your time, whether it's in money that you're spending, engagement with other people in order to have them help you along your path. Whatever it is, you are going to pay for that. Again, in time or money or both. So while the web space offers you, Web3 space offers you a tremendous potential and tremendous opportunity, it still comes with many of the same things that Web 2 had issues with when it came to small business, which was you have a small business, and this was why we started StreamCatcher actually originally, but we switched it over to the CG and NFT space because that's my forte, as my wheelhouse anyway. But we originally started StreamCatcher to show small businesses how they could actually compete with globalist entities, with big businesses. And in a lot of cases, in some cases you can't, as far as with price and different things like that. But one of the things that small businesses were having problems with and still do to this day is, they couldn't necessarily take the time or spend the money or have internal resources or anything to get a really great website up or to do their social media properly or whatever it might be. So if you look at the history of small business over, say the past 20 years with the internet, it hasn't been that great. And now that's not to say that there haven't been awesome small business. Think about Gary Vee. I mean, Gary Vee right there. There's an example of a guy back in the 90s who saw his father's wine and spirits business, a distribution business, and decided to take that online, made it very successful. The absolutely a lot of success stories, but overall in the grand macro picture, you've got a lot of small businesses who, put up a pretty crappy website, a couple pages, barely got something up, barely put their catalog up. They don't look good. It's just there. They don't promote it. They don't, all those different things. And generally it's not because they don't want to do it. It's because they can't for whatever reason, lack of time, lack of money, or both. So we wanted to start StreamCatcher by showing people, hey, you don't have to get jacked around on, all these 10,000 software as a service. If you want to make money as a small business, you can do it and you can look good, and here's how to do it. And we were going to put all these pieces together. And what we really found out is that the same exact problems exist for the NFT space. So we've got a ton of people. Yeah, it's really cool kind of, because when back in the 90s in San Francisco, the level of excitement and energy in San Francisco was off the charts. I mean, it was absolutely incredible. Parties all the time, as far as, launch parties and new events and companies launching and new software and technologies and graphics cards and people giving away jackets and, drinks. I mean, it was nuts. I could go for a whole month without having to pay for food if I wanted to, just by hitting industry parties. It was wild. And you have that same kind of exuberance and excitement and everything else happening on a kind of a global scale with this whole new social web and the Web3 components and all that. You've got it happening all around the world with a lot of people. They're super excited. And a lot of them don't even know that this already happened once, to a great degree. This already happened, in the 90s with Web 2. It's just, history doesn't repeat, but it sure as hell rhymes, right? So a lot of people don't even understand that, a lot of what we're going through now, we kind of went through in the 90s. Metaverse tech is, back in the 90s, we were dealing with, Disney was doing high-end stuff with their VR tech, with the Aladdin VR stuff, and SGI was doing a lot. We were in VR tech pretty much where they are now with like the Quest, just on a larger scale, that wasn't actually, consumer friendly. But from a graphic standpoint, we were pretty much there in the late 90s. Same problems, existed. Delivery mechanisms, working for the lowest common denominator, making sure it worked, on everything from a high-end RTX down to a cell phone, those kinds of things. Those are the problems that, scalability, those are the things that we're still dealing with to this day. But anyway, so the, Web3 and all of the other things that you can do, you have to have solid business frameworks, foundations, a website. Why are people so gun shy on a website? When I first got into this NFT space back in like November 2020, and then I started hearing Twitter spaces when they first came on, a lot of people were kind of negative on websites, and I was like, well, that doesn't make sense. Whatever you think of Web3 and all those other things, your website is your internet house, right? It's your home. It's where you come out of and go into. It's where you generate all your content and where it all lives, where you push it out from, where people come to centrally, where you can send them to instead of sending them to your Linktree page or your Twitter account or whatever it is. You're sending them to your website, and we're finishing our website too. It's an incredibly important thing, and it's something that you have to really seriously consider. Not only you have to do it, in my opinion, because it's your home, because it's your central repo. It's where you, like I said, where you push things out from, and you get the people to come to, and you build your merch stores, and you do all the other things. And you have to treat it like a business if you're going to want it to be a business. So that means that when you launch your NFT project, for example, that you have the patience to not jump the gun and say, okay, I'm going to launch this 10,000 PFP project, and we've got a website and Connect Wallet and everything else. And then when I go to the site, I see a button that says shop, and there's no shop, or there's a shop with one item that doesn't work or whatever. You have just left tons of money on the table. Tons. You're pushing 10,000 or more, hopefully, people, or 5,000 or whatever it is to your site to buy your NFTs, and you haven't created an upsell path to sell them t-shirts and hats and keychains and whatever else it is. With the amount of services out there like Printful and all the other things that you don't even have to worry about inventory and everything else like that. Yeah, you may not be making $20 each on a shirt that you can make when you order them from China. But if you're doing it as a part of an upsell or whatever, and you get that, extra $3-4 per person, and out of 5,000 people, 500 do it, well, that's 500 times $4. That's $2,000. So every little bit counts. Every little bit helps. When you go on YouTube, as we're doing now, I'm not going to be relying on YouTube for my revenue as far as the actual viewers and the viewer counts and the revenue from YouTube itself. They very well may demonetize me at some point. I don't know. Sometimes certain people don't like what I have to say. So I'm not counting on YouTube's money as far as watch counts and all those other things coming back to me. When it does, hopefully it will, that'll be the icing on the cake. That'll be the cherry on the sundae. There will be other means and methods of which we make money, which will be our business. And our business is not to sit here necessarily on YouTube for hours a day pontificating just to hear the sound of our own voice. So you have to take all those things into account when you're building. Knowing foundational concepts, knowing and understanding what technology is. That's why I'm not down. I want you to understand, I'm not down on technologies like Web3 and blockchain and all those other things. I think in the wrong hands, they could be devastating. But I'm not down on them at all. I just like to be realistic about them. So when we talk about decentralized networks, I don't see any decentralized networks. I see decentralized databases. I see decentralized communities. I see decentralized other things, but I don't see decentralized networks, because if you're talking about a network, and then there's sub topologies, and there's all kinds of things that, yes, you could effectively say that Ethereum is its own network running independently of the internet. But because it uses the internet to connect all of the nodes together, I'd call bullshit on that. And pardon my French, but I would. And you have to call a spade a spade. That's what I'm saying, is that when you're talking about things, we have to be able to agree that certain things mean certain things, or we can't even have a conversation. So decentralized, I think, is mostly a bunch of buzzword, hype. To be decentralized in its purest sense, I would imagine would be a network running independently of another network that is truly decentralized and can be used in spite of the other thing. So I don't believe that we are talking decentralized. When it comes to Web3, from its base level, I think that when we are talking about blockchains and a Connect Wallet kind of feature on websites, and we're talking about NFTs, that's Web3, I guess. That's Web3. That's what everybody's calling Web3. So let me go ahead and check Twitter actually for a second here. I've got a bunch of stuff going on. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. Okay, no, just a bunch of whitelists. So, I think I've droned on enough about it. We're gonna show you how to be a business person, whether that's you by yourself, or you needing and wanting services that we're going to be able to offer, or you wanting to be part of bigger projects. That is what we are going to do. And I am going to, let's go ahead and over here real quick. There we go. Super source. Hey, look at that. Very nice. Okay. So. Stop saying so. This is Quixel, by the way. This is the Megascans, Quixel Megascans, that is linked up and hooked up with Unreal. And you can unpack stuff in there and use their textures and all kinds of neat stuff. But they have some great content. Unreal is just unreal. It's amazing. Okay, let's go over here real quick. Let's go to Twitter. I want you to see a couple of things. So let's go ahead and take a look. Yes, here's a fun one. If you ever see these, please don't fall for them. This is Amanda Roy. Amanda is a spam account, I can guarantee you. So we'll go ahead and, 0 followers, 7 following. She's got a picture of her on a horsey, so she must be real. Okay, so she's saying, this is my wallet key and address code. Of course, she's going to give me her phrase, right? And password private key. And she said, I'm sick and need the money. Can you help me? The withdrawal is successful. You will transfer. So these, please do not fall for these. These are the worst kind of scams because they're stupid. They don't even try to hide the fact that they're trying to scam you because it's just obvious. So in this case, we're going to report this tweet. And the only reason that we do this, I am not a rat. I don't go ratting on people or telling mommy or any of that crap. This is about the algorithm, and this is about getting people off of Twitter, or getting their accounts off of Twitter who could be potentially harming other people. So I take that very seriously, and I do not just ignore it. I want to make sure that they are taken care of as best as possible. So. And there's Jody. Hi, Jody. Stream is streaming. Always great info. Thank you. And this is the VE Center. So let's take a tour through Twitter a little bit. What time do we have? It's 1:04. We're going for 2 hours. Definitely getting a little more structure in here and doing some itemized lists of things as we go along will be better. But I am definitely just getting my sea legs here, so please bear with me. But look at this. We got the VE Center here. This is a duo from Great Britain named Mish, Salsa Mish, and artist Jody. And they run the VE Center. As you can see, it is the VE Center with a TRE.com from the same people who bring you aluminium. But yes, these are awesome people. They run a really cool VR gallery. And it's a different way right now that she's doing it. It's basically using 360-degree panoramas that you step through, and you could do it in virtual reality. You can do it using the MetaQuest or those kind of things, and it allows her to render very nice high-resolution panoramas that give you the effect of kind of stepping through the gallery area and then looking at all the images. And as you go through the images in the gallery, you can click on any of the images and you can go to their OpenSea or Foundation or wherever links where you can actually buy the artwork. So that's a really cool thing. They do a Twitter space every Monday through Thursday and Sunday and Saturday at 5 p.m. It's usually till around 8, and that's 10 p.m. their time in Great Britain. So they are a lot of fun. If you go to the VE Center, you can see here, probably have enough up that it's going to crash things, but who knows? Let's see. There we go. We're teleporting to the VE Center. And we're not going to enable audio right now. So now if you can see, we've got a really cool 3D environment. And she's using a program, I believe, called 360 Fusion, or Fusion 360. And you can see here. So all of this stuff is able to be rendered out much higher resolution with higher res texture maps and everything. And I completely understand where Jody was coming from as far as you do all this great work in 3D and you go to all the extent of mapping everything and making it all look great, and then you have to throw it into something like spatial, which completely destroys it. So your 3 million poly model is now 120,000 polys, but it looks almost the same. No, it doesn't. So, but anyway, you can go into all these different areas and check it out. This is the, we're going to the spring show. So there's a spring show and a summer show, and as you can see, you can move around. I'm just gonna get my mouse here. There we go. What's going on here? There. Okay. So yeah, you can get you can walk around the gallery, and you can go ahead and you can kind of look around and see the artwork, and then if you see something you like, you can click on it, and you can see also that she actually has, which was really cool. I don't know if this is, she added this new or not. I didn't notice it last time, but she actually has the icon for what marketplace the image is on. And then as you can see, it took me right to that piece. So we have Descendants of the Soil. Descendants of the Soil. Faminu in a deer. It's pretty nicely done. So for 0.1 ETH, you can have this too. It's not showing up. Anyway, so yeah, it's a really cool experience. And the company that she did this, that she used the application to do this with, is definitely working on making more interactive elements and areas and different things. Somebody's cat. But it was the trade-off that she kind of decided I wanted to do something that had more detail, that looked better, that really represented the art in a way that I wanted to represent it, not how Spatial wanted to represent it. And one of the only ways that you can do that currently is like with 360 panels like this, which is actually fairly old technology, but has been improved quite a bit. So it's a fun place to look around. She has a Jody have a winter exhibition coming up soon that a new set of artists will be invited to display their work for free. And last, in the summer exhibition, they had 119 artists and 238 pieces. I said 138, and Doc Wu railed on me for a week about it. Okay, so yeah, but you can look around and there's just all kinds of different art, and that one, look at that, that one was animated, that object, so that's Tezos. It's the Tezos blockchain, and that is Tinkerbell. Okay. And they want 250 Tezos. And so if we go over to, I need a good crypto widget. And if we look at Tezos, I'm just doing this because I'm curious. I'm a curious cat. It's at $1.37. Okay. So $1.37, so 250 Tezos. Okay. Interesting. It kind of looks like a dead mouse as a woman with wings. It's like the dead mouse hat, the DJ guy. But anyway, so yeah, that's cool. That is Mish and Jody over at the VE Center. Hello, guys. And we'll go back to my Twitter. And let's take a look at some of the peeps we got going out here. So yeah, the bear market it sucks, and it may get worse. We may be going into depression, and I want to say to all you people out there that are, that are hurting and that are struggling, we really feel for you. We really do. And I want you to understand that comes from a very special place in my heart where we have personally struggled very hard. We've personally struggled in both our personal lives, with relationships, with different things. We've struggled with money. We have struggled in pretty much every way you can name, and some of the things that we have struggled with would curl your hair. So everybody finds themselves in different places in their life at different moments and at different times. And just because we happen to find ourselves in a place that allows me to do this kind of thing, that allows my wife to allow me to do this, that we are able to build something like this, has been from blessings and a lot of hard work and some other factors that have come into play. But I do not take anything for granted. I do not take you for granted. I do not take money for granted. And I am a strong and faithful person. If you are a friend, you will be a friend to the end. But people out there who are slogging away or are still working, we have quite a few of them. We got Skirpy out there. Timmy, shout out to Timmy over at Skirpy. He is a fighter, UFC fighter, I believe. And he is starting a social network called Skirpy, and he's been working on that for well over a year. He was probably one of the first people that I saw in the Twitter spaces and kind of started to follow. So shout out to Skirpy. He's having an NFT talk space right now on Shilling and Chilling, Alpha, Brainstorming, Marketing, and Branding. So we'll retweet that out for him. So Una Lacuna is another person just met recently. And let's see here. Let's go over to... We'll go to Feels. This is the Feels Collective. We'll shout Feels out for a minute. Is this? Wait a minute. Yeah, that's him. He changes his PFP so many damn times I can never keep track. So this is a gentleman by the name of Jared. He's running a crew with his wife and a number of other people who are doing the Feels Collective, which is a story right now on a rabbit and animation and a whole thing that he's going to put out and get to film festival circuits and do that kind of thing. So we will have him on at some point, hopefully talk about that. So that's another pal, another friend. Let's see, we've got, and then we of course, we have Expert Advice with Cristiano and Brad. Hey buddies, how you doing? Shout out to Cristiano, Brad. Shout out to Walt Disney, to Marie, to all of the people that hang out at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Expert Advice WTF on Twitter Spaces. We are there. I try to be there every day as well. I am kind of part of I'm the furniture, I guess, in this space. But we're working with Cristiano. He's a really great guy, and we are working with him on the Ethereum project. And I will be showing a lot more of that coming up soon. We're going to do some how-tos and some breakdowns on creating different things in Photoshop and AI art and doing Cinema 4D and bringing all those things together. Can't give away too much before the reveal, but we're definitely going to take a look at that. Let's see, we have Kabir. Oh, yes, Kabir over at NFTtalk.space. Let's talk about NFT Talk. So we have Kabir, who is a gentleman from Northern California. NFTtalk.com. That was stupid. And NFT Talk. Oh, wait a minute. No. Okay. Yeah, so he is a gentleman that lives over in the Bay Area, actually Sacramento, or Screamento as I call it. Thank you to my daughter. And he is very hot on all the crypto and NFT stuff and Metaverse, and he's a very smart individual who runs his own business, and they do all kinds of other things, but he started a new business called NFTtalk.space, and he's doing a bunch of different talk.space things. So we have sports talk.space and all kinds of other stuff. But he does love the NFT space, and he's built this kind of thing for us, and it's very cool. So if I go here and I click and authorize with Twitter, oh, Oh, okay. Here we go. I have audio now. Sorry about that. Ooh. I had my audio off on my Rodecaster. Too many buttons. Okay. I always have to check those levels. I've got to keep those levels up. All right. Oh, hey, look at that. We have Doc Wu come on in here. Let's see what we got. Let's see if I can add you as a speaker. How you doing there, Doc? Let's see. Don't think I'm getting any input. So,
hey, Chris, you there?
oh, I can hear you coming through the phone. Hold on.
Painwaves is here.
Painwaves, how's it going? Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and try and pair this again through.
What happened to Chris? Did he fall asleep?
No, I did not fall asleep. I am trying.
My prediction is that he's setting up YouTube. Staying live from YouTube.
Well, I am.
Oh, yes, his YouTube streaming thing, yeah. Oh, he's probably thinking that.
There we go. Okay. What I'm trying to do, in case anybody is looking at me on YouTube, is I'm trying to get YouTube fed through Twitter Spaces, and it's working maybe? I don't know. Let's see. Can you hear me now? I know you can hear me on that because I just turned my mic on. But you can't still hear me, huh? No dice? If you can hear what I'm saying via YouTube through the Twitter stream, give me a thumbs up. So I don't know why that would not be. I must have an input that I need to figure out. Okay, so that's not going to work. I'm going to end this because I didn't even set it to record or anything. But I'm going to continue on YouTube, and we'll figure out the Twitter thing next time. But definitely cool. We'll definitely do this for sure. Okay, so one thing at a time. Absolutely. Still have a couple more things I need to hook up for this little studio down here that I've got set up. But anyway, so we've got NFT Talk. You can go here and you can check out people's speaking times. You can check out how, what rank they are. There was a really cool thing I saw too that you can actually, I believe you can go in here and you can see who's live. You can go with a QR code. You can scan a QR code and it'll take you to the Twitter space that is happening. So very cool stuff. And he's adding a lot of cool little features and different things I'm still finding in the interface. But he's got a lot of talent at his company and a lot of resources that he's pulling from, and he's making something really cool. So definitely check out Kabir on nfttalk.space. And then we've got, let's see. Yeah, back to expert advice. Cristiano Covino is a gentleman that I found on Twitter Spaces, and we have become friends. He is a very talented, I say young man, he's 35. So me being 53, I can call him a young man. But he is a very talented young man out of LA right now, currently, who we're going to be working with on the Ethereum project. And we're totally excited about that and jazzed. And I'm doing the artwork. And he is working on smart contracts, and we are all going to be promoting it and working together to really make it a success and bring everybody something truly cool, and eventually, part of it, real rum, which would be cool for people who drink. Okay, so let's take a little look at what we've got going on. Got notifications. Shouting out that expert advice. And again, I have to be kind of careful because there's, there's a little degen stuff going on in some of these spaces and different things with swearing. And I'm not a prima donna about it, but I have to watch it for YouTube. So anyway, let's go ahead and see. But there's very interesting projects going on. And when I say project, I hate to say projects, even businesses. There's some interesting businesses that are coming online, things revolving around healthcare and telemedicine, insurance, real estate. There are lots of people who see the opportunity that NFTs and cryptocurrencies can provide, and they're definitely trying to take advantage of it as best they can and work towards bigger goals. The problem, of course, becomes, when you're dealing with any kind of currency that has swings of 50, 60, 80%, in any given period of time, 5 months, 6 months, a year, becomes very difficult to run a business that way. And so everybody, I think, is dealing with a lot of the same issues that that many of us are dealing with. And again, we have been taking our time. We've been researching. We've been looking. We've been building. And we like to take that Apple approach, kind of the sit back and, we'll do it second. We're okay doing it second. You do it first. And, first mover advantage, definitely. I mean, there's history is full of first mover advantage examples, and there's nothing wrong with being first. But especially when you're talking about high technology, big players, lots of money moving around, when you are a small player, knowing that you are a small player and knowing your place will help you succeed on a more realistic scale. Boy, that's a freaking scary image. Yeah, welcome to Halloween. So yeah, that's wild looking. And that is from Marcello Art. Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Marcello Art. So this guy's definitely got an interesting style here. And you could tell this is some AI art going here. But it definitely looks like he's used Photoshop to fix things, which is good. So that's kind of interesting. Yeah, here we go. A bunch of AI pieces. So Girl Voodoo Costume Phase 1 live. So very interesting. Now, how much is he selling these for? Let's see. OpenSea, floor price 0.02. So that's not bad. 0.02 ETH being, I don't even know what 0.02 ETH is right now. Let's see. We got our little CoinGecko app. Has a calculator. If you go to more on the bottom right, has a nice little calculator built into it. So 0.02 ETH is it's about $26. So yeah, about $26. So yeah, that's not bad. I mean, a lot of people ask about pricing, and this is a good example to kind of talk about pricing, where, this guy, I don't know if he did, it doesn't necessarily look like he did a lot of Photoshop to any of them. He might have. Some of the stuff looks a little cleaner than others, but some of the AI art rendering is coming out pretty clean anyway. I mean, you're looking at AI art rendering. Something like this with a proper prompt, something that you may have massaged and really worked with for hours and hours, or maybe even used a starter image to propel things the way you want, absolutely can take time, hours and hours worth of work to get to the point where you start to get images like this on a consistent basis. But once you have, something like Stable Diffusion or whatever, and you're rendering out locally or things like that, 200 of these images or more overnight while you sleep is no problem. So I think that, offering somebody a piece of you as an artist, a piece of your creative expression and output, being AI art, being what it is, I don't know how many he's got here. Let's go ahead and we'll go to OpenSea and take a look real quick. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Pardon me. Okay, we'll go there and take a look. Okay, so he has floor price is 0.02. Total volume is 0.02. So he sold one. 2 owners, 13% unique owners. And see how many he has. Okay, so not too many, it doesn't look like. 4, 8, 12, 16. So I did 16, it looks like. So 16 at $25 each. You can do the math. It's not a heck of a lot of money, but depending on where he is in the world or whatever else, that could be a lot of money for him or her. So, yeah, I think that I think those are fairly well priced. I don't think there's any problem with that kind of pricing. At $25, $26, you pay that for a poster. I think that for something like that, absolutely, you should give the rights to the image away fully. AI art in and of itself, unless it's something specific that you spent a lot of time on, did a lot of Photoshop work with, unless you ran it through, tortured 3 different GANs and 47 images and 12 different variations, unless you did something like that, and you're doing a series like this, I think it would be highly advantageous to consider this as art that you issue, you generate. You may love it, but you issue it, you generate it, you give the full resolution file to the person. You can even give full rights to it if it's not part of a bigger thing. If you're just doing a series, AI art, if you are able to get $25 a piece for 16 pieces and able to clear that on a little collection like that, in my opinion, you're doing quite well. So there's nothing wrong with that, and offer the high res art and just keep going, because those are 16 of 16 billion images you can make over a period of time with AI art. So don't fall too much in love with one image, because the next one is right around the corner that you're going to fall in love with. So 26 times 25 times 15, that's what 215. Oh shit, let's just do the math, because I'm obviously too brain dead to think about it. Where? Oh, that was good. 26. Okay. So yeah, AI art. Whew, man, keeps on coming back to that, doesn't it? There's another example. Okay. Rexy, pulp action pinups. All right. I need to watch nudity and stuff too on these. But yeah, I mean, a lot of artists, and I want to encourage all artists out there. If you're doing art at all and you're creating, you're ahead of the curve. Most people don't create. Most people are consumers. They consume and they do their job, and they are happy watching football or TV shows or whatever it is, and they don't want to make stuff. They're not interested at all. And that's most people. So if you're out there creating and you're doing artwork, I congratulate you and I celebrate you, and I think that's wonderful. Some of you need some help. Some of you need some guidance, some teaching, some training, some experience, some videos with the applications you're using, whatever it may be. Some of you need a little work. Paulina, she's really good. And some of you don't. But we all need work. We all need help. We could all learn more. And I highly encourage you that if you are part of the community of people out here that is developing a taste for art through AI art, through all these channels that, through picking up Procreate with your new Apple iPad Pro and Pencil, whatever it may be that has gotten you into wanting to do art for a living or part-time or just to make some extra money, whatever it is, whatever's gotten you into creating art, I highly encourage you to just keep pursuing all about it, whether it's, the digital technologies and paint. If you're a painter, learn how to create brushes, learn how to create tools, learn what resolution is, learn how, PSD files operate if you're just a Procreate user, so you can go back and forth between, more pro people. Learn your tools. Your tools are very important, and always be expanding your abilities and your capabilities and your repertoire. If you have a style, you don't have to break out of that style. I'm not saying lose your style, but expand your mind as to the possibilities with computer graphics, and know your tools, understand what they are, understand file formats, understand, because when you're talking about moving forward, we think computers rule us now. I look back 20, 30 years ago, back, say to the 80s even, when computers were really starting to take control of certain things. We're going to another level here. We're going to virtual levels. We're going to global levels. We're going to all these things that is going to require that your knowledge of technology be stepped up, and that you continuously have a desire to learn. Because, as an artist, if you're like, again, this is the same kind of thing with gallerists. If you're an artist, and let's say you might even have a mental issue that precludes you, like agoraphobia or whatever, from going outside or whatever. You're kind of a messed up person, and you would like to be alone by yourself and do your art. Well, the only way that you're going to be able to do that and make a living doing that is by having somebody represent you. So there's all kinds of forms of representation. There's all kinds of ways of getting people to help you when it comes to selling your art or any number of things. But you are going to have to take more responsibility for yourself in those matters on yourself moving forward, even if it's just a little bit, even if it's enough to understand what it is you're asking for, so that you can ask for it properly and then get the proper response back. Because if somebody comes up, and says to you, say you're looking for somebody to represent you, and they say, well, we've got this, and this is no problem. We can do this for this percentage, and this for that, and this for that, and that, and they start to confuse you. Automatically a red flag should be thrown up. Like, what's going on? Why are they trying to confuse me? Or they put out, a lot of names and words and things you don't understand to make you seem dumb. That's not the point of it. You want to be able to operate on a level where, if you, like, for example, with smart contract developers, I don't expect you to be able to sit down and go through Solidity code and work with your coder, and that's his job. His or her job, that's their job to code and to give you Solidity code. But you should understand enough of it to know what you can ask for, so it can't make you a purple elephant, it's code, right? There's certain things that it can and can't do. And in order to properly interface with people who are developing smart contracts, you need to understand enough about them to understand what they do, how they operate, and not just, smart contracts are this and they're 720. You actually need to understand a little bit deeper about what they are, what their implementations are, what they can do. General knowledge like that is very important, and that's something we're working on, creating deep dives and other things that are going to help you with specific areas that you might be having issues with. So, for example, for me, like I said, remote workforce management is something I need to learn, so I'm hiring someone to do it, to do some great seminars so that I can learn and everybody else can benefit from that as well. Okay, so here's an interesting piece. So possibly a little more hand-drawn, maybe charcoals. But it's fun. It is one of the things I have enjoyed very much about the whole NFT art space and Twitter art space and all that kind of stuff is I burned out probably 8 or so years ago, and burned out for a few years really hard on tech and all the other stuff. Didn't really want to have much to do with it for a while. And it definitely wasn't in my, that wasn't in my nature. I've been doing this ever since I was a kid. And one of the things that really kind of made me throw up my hands and kind of say I've had it with this stuff was that I was just seeing the same old garbage, the same old superhero movies, the same old particle effects, a lot of satanic garbage, just, whatever. And it was stuff I was not, at all impressed with. And it made me feel bad, because I was like, I spent so many years promoting the 3D industry, promoting, graphics companies, promoting studios and effects houses. And it seemed like all they were doing was just making the same crap. And so when this NFT space came around and I started seeing all these artists pop up from all over the world, creating just incredible artwork, not all of it, but creating some really incredible artwork. It was really cool. It was very inspiring. It was very motivational. And not that you couldn't go onto ArtStation and Behance and other places like that on the web and see great artwork, but it was partly also the idea that people would come onto the spaces and they would, hope that they would be able to sell their NFTs, and they'd pitch people and show people. So it was kind of like an open air bazaar, an open air art market in a lot of ways. And I just got to see some tremendous art from all over the world. This is kind of interesting here in Marcello Art again, the Girl Voodoo collection. Boy, you're getting top billing here today, Marcello. So yeah, the AI art, I was playing around with it in Photoshop last night. I was playing around with a couple of pieces, and boy, when in doubt, zoom out for the stock market, right? When in doubt, zoom in for AI art, because it is a mess. Most of AI art, there's really pretty colors and clean blending and gradations and stuff, but you go in and you look at those details, you look at the eyes up close, you look at some of the skin textures, you look at some of the line work and what the AI art considers details, even on some of the better stuff. And a lot of it's messy, a lot of it's garbled. So you got to go in there and use blending brushes and smudge some colors together and blend some things and add layers and do blending modes to really pop things out. And there's a lot of times the GANs tend to have a consistency of kind of graying out the image, kind of 50%ing it, where you don't have a lot of really dark blacks. And that's cute though. Look at that for Halloween. This is Alina Imra. She's doing some AI art doggies. So, and again, I believe these are AI art, but they could be edited as well. And a lot of people are, well, what's the point? Why are you even talking about whether it's AI art or not? It's just art. It's art. Okay, I get it. Especially a lot of AI artists, a lot of people who are saying they're AI artists out there, are saying those kind of things. And I think that to a degree, they have a point, and to a degree, they absolutely freaking do not. So there is definitely some, well, that's kind of crazy looking. There's definitely a little bit of both. So I think that AI art, generating AI art it can be an extremely easy thing to do. It can be an extremely challenging thing to do, depending on what you're trying to get out of it. Oh, this is gorgeous. Look at that. Leo Craig, get a shout out here. Artistic retweeted Leo Craig's post, Rolex 70. And we have about every hashtag in the world. Leo, piece of advice, buddy. Don't do that. 4, 5 tops. Usually 3 to 4 is the most you want to use with any given thing. So, Cinema 40, rendering. But yeah, that's a lot of hashtags for one tweet, bro. But beautiful image. Look at that. Really, really nice. It's a nice start image. Definitely a little too front on. We should really do critiques, because when people can't hear me critique them, it's much better, at least initially. So yeah, we got a front on shot. It's a little too front on. I'd like to have seen a little bit more of an angle, maybe kind of put it on some kind of stand so it doesn't look like it's kind of suspended off this box. But I think the metal textures are looking nice. The metal here's a little too uniform. Maybe break it up with a little fractal pattern or something, or a little light play. But otherwise, it looks really clean. Looks more like a technical illustration, actually, than a rendering, almost. I've seen people do stuff like that in Illustrator. It's just like, really? Wow. You do that in Illustrator? Okay. Let's see. Oh, this is another, but we have a lot of AI art coming out. No, this is Punk Actual. So it's 11. Yeah. Let me backtrack that. Check out my latest series. It includes both editions and one-to-ones. It's an evolution of my identity series, utilizing AI to create assets, and then I edit them in Photoshop, Procreate, or After Effects, depending on the piece. Yeah, that's definitely one thing I want to do, is bring a lot of these into After Effects and do some animation to them. There's the Art of Eve app that allows you to do that a little more easily.
although I've looked at it and I'm not thrilled with the way they put things together. But there's Artivive, there's, of course, the Apple AR stuff, AR kit and all that. Oh, here's another rendering of that. Oh, there we go. See? Ask and I shall receive. This is in the same timeline. Yeah, there we go. There's a more angled shot. Get a nice bit of reflection on that. Face. Get a nice back part there. Very nice, very nice. Okay. Oh, Halloween, of course, coming up. We got a lot of Halloweeny stuff coming up. Well, that's kind of cool. It's an abstract jazz piece. It's interesting. But there's 5 fingers, so that means he has a 6th thumb over here, and there's 4 there. Needs a thumb there. Take that one out and put it there, and a thumb and put it there. But it's cool. I like it. Abstract. Got to know the rules before you can break the rules. So, but the NFT space overall, in general, will not look anything like what it looks like now in a couple of years. So, remembering again that the technology is not the focus. It shouldn't be the focus for us anyway, at least for the creative artist, for the content creator. You are dealing with standard web technologies, you're dealing with computer graphics, you're dealing with 3D animation, you're dealing with internet streaming, you're dealing with Web 3D technologies, and then you throw on top of all of that blockchain, the cryptocurrencies that go along with it, NFTs, and you're talking about, increasing complexity in your deliverables, increasing complexity in the steps that you have to take to get things done. This is not an easing of anything. Now, for the end user, eventually it will be an easing of, the ability to have your digital assets, to easily have them in one wallet, to not get ripped off in your wallet because somebody sent you an NFT that you decided to click on and see what it was. We've got a long way to go in a very short time to get there. But the NFT space, as it currently sits, that's down 95% or whatever, I say good friggin' riddance. Doc Wu, my buddy, was saying that when he read that article that the NFT space was down 98%, he said, well, I sold 2 NFTs that day. So, and I don't look at my NFTs. In fact, out of all of our investments in the crypto space, I don't look at NFTs as being our worst investment. And the reason I don't is because the NFTs that we bought were not bought primarily to make money. So we got involved in a couple of rug pulls. We got involved in and I'm going to call them out. Mech Identity Project screwed me over with a gold ticket that went away. It was $900 some that just, I decided I was gonna diamond hand it because, right, that's what we do, right? That's what we're supposed to do. Diamond hand these projects because we believed in them. Same thing with Farsight, the Farsight game. Diamond handed 3 cases of those that are now worth nothing. So, my calling those people out publicly, they did not communicate. They did not answer responses. I'm going to see my face while I say this. They did not communicate properly with me. They did not answer responses. They did not give a crap. So when I launch a business, I'm going to come on and I'm going to come to your face that you can see me. And I'm going to say, hey, I am going to start a business and I'm going to sell you something. And I hope you'll like it. And if you like it, you'll buy it. And if you don't, you won't. But we are not going to sell you some promise and then rip you off. We're not going to do it anonymously and not tell you who we are. This is business. This is not a game. Maybe it's a game to some of you, but it's not a game to us. We are very, very serious about building a professional society of creators, a real society of creators that does professional things, that doesn't have party houses all over that you can go crash at, or pays for your, Uber meal, or pays you an Uber. Professional, real. And then you build community and family out of that. You build relationships. You have tribes within tribes. When you're talking about a society that has a decent amount of membership, you're going to have all kinds of personality issues and different things you have to deal with. But the parameters must be set up first. You have to think of these things as a true business. If you're doing a film and you're getting people to collaborate with you, and you're eventually wanting to profit from that film and put it out to film festival circuits, you better have contracts with these people. You better have things put in place that clearly outline their rights, responsibilities, perks, anything that the ownership, all of those things have to be spelled out. Because if they're not, those are the kind of things that will come back to bite you in the ass later on down the road, and will ultimately could bankrupt you, could totally destroy the project, destroy your business, destroy your company. So if you're not serious about things from the get-go, it will become fairly painfully obvious to people very quickly that you're not serious. So all right, well, I think we have gone pretty far today for 2.5 hours, just kind of covering the landscape of the NFT space as it currently exists. And as you can see, it's kind of a mess, but there are great people doing really cool things in the space. We are all seeing those of us who do see the technology for what it is, and do see where the world is going, and see where currency and everything else is going to a great degree, see the opportunity and see the possibilities that this whole new area of tech, Web3 and all that can bring to the table. But those of us who are serious, are doing it with the reality that we're a real business. We have real assets. We are very much about the digital and the real. We call it DigiReal, trademark that. And we're providing real value, things that, when the power gets turned off, some of it's still there. So, there's digital assets, and there's 3D GLB files, and there's Metaverse, and there's avatars, and there's all these cool things that we're into. But we also like to have one foot firmly planted in reality. We like real things. We like things that have actual tangible asset value. And we absolutely encourage you moving forward to not think about everything as a pure anything. Don't be a maximalist on anything. Nothing is pure. Pure digital world, everything in the metaverse. A lot of people out there, a small group of people, but a lot of them out there are trying to force people into the pod life VR headset world of the future because they want all the real stuff. The real stuff doesn't go away, and the real stuff is important. And keeping yourself grounded in reality by growing plants, by having pets, by doing things that connect you to the real world, those are every bit as important as the technology and the things that you're doing in the here and now in the computer graphics realm. And so I would encourage you moving forward to really try and find that balance. Go outside, take a walk, get away from your computer screens, do the things that keep you balanced and keep you in touch with people. And then you can work a lot better in the high-tech world and deal with people in a lot better way when you are more centered and grounded yourself. So we are going to probably close it up for today. We've gone a little bit short just by a few minutes, but I want to thank everybody for coming to StreamCatcher Society today, and we're going to have a lot more content. We're working on getting everything finalized with our studio and graphics. We really kind of needed to turn everything on and see where our holes were. So we do have some graphics and some other things that we're working on, getting some other videos recorded and put up that aren't going to be live, that are just going to be really informative. And we are going to start getting some interviews and some guests on for the 3-day-a-week show, and maybe take this even to 4 or 5 days. Who knows? We will find out where it takes us. We're very fluid in a lot of respects, and in other respects, we are not. So we're going to continue to bring you great info, advice, tips, tricks, industry news, things that you can use for creating your business and making yourself more successful. We want everybody to get where we are, and we want to get where other people are so that we can get you to where we are now. So it's put the mask on us, and then we'll put the mask on you. We're going to be successful. We're going to prove it to you, and then you're going to get on board so that we can help make you successful. So I want to thank everybody. This is Chris Tome with StreamCatcher Society. Thanks again for tuning in, and we will see you Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, where we will discuss something of great interest you will not want to miss. Take care, guys. Thanks. God bless. Peace out.